How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Belle Haven with us tonight. He can say his name and what he does in the band.
Hi, I'm David. I sing in Belle Haven. So I'm the very emo adult man that's standing there having a sook in every song.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate being here. I appreciate being able to chat to you. I love that you said tonight. It's like, yes, tonight.
Well, tonight, I know for you,
It's not daylight outside.
for me, for me. I just want to say, shout outs to all the Australians that watch my content because I understand that when I post stuff, it is clearly not in the same time zone. Like it is very much in the morning for David, and
Yeah.
I'm very much in the evening. So, much love to
Yeah.
all the people that watch my stuff on the non United States time zone because
Yeah, time zone.
dedication.
Plural.
Plural. Yes. Dedication. I appreciate it. But David, I do appreciate you spending the time because obviously, as we mentioned, he's in Australia, so I appreciate you spending the morning with me here. But
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
I want to give a shout outs to Ophelia at Big Mouth. She was able to get me in contact with you, so wanted to give her some salutes. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
But the first question I have for you, David, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, is, how did Belle Haven start out? I've, as I mentioned in the reaction video, which I'll leave a link below if you haven't checked that out, go do it. But I have been following you since like 2021, roughly around that time. I actually had a friend of mine, shout outs to Sam, she had posted about your band, and I was like, I like a good post-hardcore band, And then also on top of that, they're from Australia. Okay, great. Love a good Australian post-hardcore
Are you
band.
wearing a Thornhill shirt right
I
now
am
as well,
wearing
by
a
the way? Oh,
yeah, I feel
nice.
like I
Yeah,
have
very
to,
nice.
I feel like I
Yeah,
have to,
100%.
when in
Yeah,
Rome, right?
nice.
Um,
Yeah, that's it.
and so I was like, man, I just love like Australian like music. I feel like you guys just no offense to my American and international friends, but I'm just saying Australia's got it. I was really it hits different. And I absolutely love it. And so I kind of go down the rabbit hole with a bunch of different Australian bands, and yours happened to be one of those bands that I had just listened to a ton in 2021. And
That's awesome.
so I wanted to know how Bella Haven started out. I don't really know the history before all of that, before Time Changes Nothing came out in 2021. So can you take as much time as you'd like, Dave?
Yeah, I don't know. I should probably try and condense it because it is quite long.
I don't care.
I
You
mean,
can take
I'm
as much time as you want,
I think it started shortly after I finished high school. With I had a couple of bands that I was playing music with in high school, but I always played guitar and sung in like sort of indie rock sort of bands. Like,
okay,
very super into like Death Cab for Cutie and stuff, which is it definitely has elements of emo in there, but ultimately it's it's pretty indie rock stuff. But so I'm pretty sure I was in a band called Frink, like named after Professor Frink from The Simpsons or something. Anyway, I digress. Not important. Here's me saying I need to condense it, and I'm like going into that much.
Oh no, I love it.
But my brother, we call him CV. He I mean, we both listened to like a little bit of alternative stuff, like Darkest Hour.
Wow, okay,
like metalcore and stuff, and
yeah.
And he was really getting into that rabbit hole. Started showing me bands like August Burns Red, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he had this. He's a couple of years younger than I am, and he had this sort of like metal band called, I'm pretty sure it was called Facing Fake Help was what it was called. And they didn't have a singer. It was just a guitarist and then a drummer and a bassist. I think that might have and another guitarist. Yeah, so the four members. They didn't have a singer, and they were covering 7 Years by Seosin.
Nice.
And CB came into my bedroom because we lived in a family home back then, and CB came into my bedroom and he was like, "Hey, my band is covering 7 Years by Seosin." I was like, "Oh yeah, I really like that song. That's a really cool song." Anthony Green was really growing on me at the time. And he was like, "You're the only person I know that can sing that high. Do you want to sing it for us?"
Oh, that's so sick.
So there's 19, 20-year-old me, just like, oh yeah, I'll sing for this crappy metal band for a minute, like whatever. This isn't real music, or whatever. So, and that was sort of where it started.
Oh wow.
I like I think we just jammed that song a bit, and then they were working on some new stuff, and I thought it was really high energy and fun, and also like a lot of the guys that were a couple of the guys that were in the band back then, I'd kind of gone to high school with. I
Oh,
was a couple
okay.
of years older, and they were. I don't know. In high school, I was like, this is me just being very candid. In
Sure,
high
sure, sure.
school, I was very much like not a cool kid. Definitely not a
Same.
cool kid.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah. Cliche, I know, but um, doing this, I remember feeling like when I was sort of jamming with these kids. I mean, I was still a kid. We were like jamming with these kids, and to them, I was like real cool, and that feeling was like crack to me. I was like, oh, these
You're
kids,
like,
these
yeah.
these kids, yeah. No, that literally happened. I remember the bassist at the time. I was like jamming, and he looked at me, and I'll never forget thinking like, why aren't you playing bass right now? That's what you're supposed to be doing. But he was like playing, and then we locked eyes, and he was like that. And I was like, what is this hand doing? Put it back on the bass
Yeah, just
guitar,
play
please.
it. Yeah, yeah.
But I remember being like, oh, they think I'm really cool, and that makes me feel cool, and I really like that feeling. And I just sort of very selfishly kept indulging in that because it was very
Sure.
new to me.
Yeah.
That is indicative of a lot of problems that came from me being in a band, that I've, as a man, I've been able to get on top of now, thankfully. But I digress. That's sort of where it started. Over
Sure.
time, we sort of we messed with some demos, and eventually the members sort of shifted around a bit. Just met people along the way,
Sure. Yeah.
and we ended up forming, like, sort of reforming the band. I remember we had a discussion about, like, we want to take this seriously, so let's and try and make something of it. So let's
Hmm.
change the band name and instigate a new beginning, sort of thing. And yeah, so we came up with Belle Haven, which was there was a really really horrific murder that took place in like in a town in
Oh man.
Connecticut in the States, called Belle Haven. Martha Moxley, her name was, and it was back when there was a lot of like classism. I don't even know what the right
Yeah, I think
terminology
you're
is, but
right.
it's like you
Yeah.
had high class, middle class, low
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
class
Yeah.
society, and I think it's been proper solved now. And it was always suspected that it was like the son of some very high class, rich individual that had
Sure.
murdered this woman, but they just pawned it on some lower class
Oh
individual,
my
and
god.
everyone was like, cool. And this person just faced the consequences for a murder they never committed. Um, and I remember just, I don't know, I think we were probably really high, and we were just like, wow, that's awful and intense. Let's name the
Let's
band
name
after
her.
that. And that's where
Oh my
I mean,
god.
we don't really think about that so much now. Bellhaven to us is more of like I don't know, it just really means sort of home and family to us, and
Sure. Yeah.
rolls off the tongue. And it's been our lives. Like, I'm 32 now. This is
Yeah. I'm
like
gonna be
our
30,
life's
so I get
work.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bellhaven to us goes well beyond some murder mystery or what have you. Not to trivialize that, it's awful.
Sure. Sure.
Um,
Sure. Yeah.
but um, but yeah, for us, it's definitely taken on a brand new meaning now. But yeah, it's been a long time since then, because that would have been like 2011, I think, when we sort of made that move.
Wow.
Even like late 2010. And during that time, man, like, just so much and so little has happened. Like, I wouldn't even know which bits to cherry pick, and you know so you came onto Bellhaven during Time Changes Nothing.
Yes. Correct. Yeah.
Um, right. So before that, um, we released our first good record in 2017, called You, Me, and Everything Between. We don't talk about the other ones. So don't worry
They're
about
just yeah. Yeah.
that. So we re-released that through a label here called Grayscale Records, and that
Yep.
was that was a fantastic release, and it was a really pivotal moment for the band. Like, went from playing those dingy bars and playing to like 30 people to suddenly we were being booked on like festivals here,
That's so sick.
getting a lot more press coverage, and it was all very fresh for us. and very, very exciting. And also, like, I think we didn't really understand the gravity of how cool it was. Like, I don't know. We had so much other stuff going on, so much mental health stuff going on internally in the band at the time that I feel like we talk about it now sometimes because things are really good at the moment,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
we talk about how we really wish we smelled the roses a little bit more. But thankfully, we get to do that now. Thankfully, like I really took the stumbling across your video, and I really took the time to watch that,
Oh,
and I was
thank you.
like, this lovely guy from across the pond who
Oh,
has never met me and has somehow stumbled across my art and my craft and what is essentially my life's work and seemingly enjoys it. And that's like, I just sat there for however long the video was, like 12, 15 minutes,
yeah, roughly.
having a
Yeah.
tea, and I got my girlfriend in and I
Oh,
linked it to the
that's
guys. I was
awesome.
like,
Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
this. Like just like smelling the roses a lot more and really like so anyway, that happened 2017. We brought that record out, and then unfortunately, just that the aforementioned mental health stuff really sort of started taking a toll on the band because
Sure.
our
Yeah.
lifestyle changed from doing 2 tours a year prior to that record that were very forced tours and like
Sure.
trying our best to like play in front of new people and really sometimes turning up and playing to like 6 or 7 people at little venues and stuff to
Mm-hmm.
suddenly we're being booked. It's like, we're touring for 2 weeks, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, a couple of festivals, 2 weeks off, and everything's just go, go,
It's
go
grueling. Yeah.
constantly. Yeah. And we did that for about 6 to 8 months, even no, a little bit longer. I'd say probably about 12 months because we were starting to do that in the lead up to that record coming out as well because we brought out a single and it sort of went really well. But anyway, so probably maybe like closer to like 12-ish months, give or take, we really
Mm-hmm.
started living that lifestyle, which is something we'd wanted to do for so long.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but we were discovering things like, like, it's really hard to maintain a job while doing this. And sadly, being on that precipice of the band starting to do really well, um, it takes a while to
The
break that
ceiling.
threshold where
Yeah.
it's like you start to see a little bit of money sort of coming back that can help
Sure.
you sort of keep self recharging that battery. So you really need that work outside of tour, and we were really struggling to juggle that. And then on top of that, like just some personal relationship breakdowns and stuff, and just
Sure.
general mental health stuff. Unfortunately, that lifestyle, as much as we'd wanted it for probably at that stage, like, a good 5 years, we dreamt of being able to be that band. It just kind of ruined us internally. And like, we weren't really able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I especially was getting increasingly depressed.
Oh.
I was, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't know a lot about where I was in my journey and stuff, but um, so I have personality. I have a personality disorder. Pardon me. So having that undiagnosed and then like experiencing things like that often come with that, like body dysmorphia and stuff,
Sure. Yeah.
and being like the shows are getting bigger, so there's more and more media content that I have no autonomy over. So
Sure.
I'm getting on Instagram after shows, I'm seeing all these videos and pictures and people talking about me like I'm not going to see it, because sometimes I might not see it because there's a
Sure.
sea of it,
Yeah.
and people talking about my body or like my face or like, and I can't control any of that. I have no
Sure.
autonomy
Yeah.
over that, and that became increasingly difficult for me to process, and then subsequently like increasingly difficult for the band to. We just did. None of us knew how to navigate that. So I'm having
Sure.
these like
Yeah.
mental breakdowns,
Yeah.
and like the guy, like the other guys in the band are just like, oh, David's going mad. Like something's going,
Oh.
like David's losing his mind, like we're losing our
Oh.
friend a little bit, like
Oh.
don't know what to do. And none of us knew how to handle it.
Sure.
None of us
Yeah.
really knew what was causing it. Like none of us had any insight. So unfortunately we just resolved to take time away.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, just as things started getting really good, we took some time away. I think we took like about 2 years nearly of hiatus. So that was 2017 to
Wow.
19, and then 2019 we brought out. And this is where it gets really like it's almost like fatiguing to talk about and
Oh.
fatiguing to like make you endure, because I like it's not very exciting and it's just repetitive. So we brought out
No.
a single called "Forget Me" in
Okay.
2019, and that was supposed to be us like coming back. That
Sure.
was
Sure.
like internally we were all feeling. I was feeling better. I had like a new place. I was really close with this guy who'd been close with the band for ages, and he was a really positive part of my mental
That's
health
awesome.
journey at the time. And So everyone was like, okay, things seem pretty good. So we released this song, Forget Me. We did like a small headline tour and all the shows sold out.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
obviously people still believed in Belle Haven,
Sure.
which is awesome. And they'd been waiting. That song still to this day is like probably our most streamed song, I think, Forget Me. So that went down a treat, which is good. And then we toured with our friends Dance Gavin Dance. After that, they were coming to Australia and they
Oh, very
asked us to
sick.
join them on the tour. So, and I think very quickly again we sort of like realized that I still just wasn't quite there. I wanted
Sure.
to be there
Sure. Yeah.
so bad, but I just still wasn't quite ready. So things just kind of got a little quiet again, and then COVID happened as well, which just threw
Oh,
a
yeah. Just
whole other spanner in the
I feel
works.
that.
So
Yeah.
oh man, yeah, it's a weird thing about all this again. But so we brought out Forget Me, did a couple of tours that did really, really well. My mental health was like better than it had been
It was
prior,
like,
but still
yeah.
not. It was like still, and we were all walking on eggshells constantly as well. Like it's,
Sure.
um, man, yeah, it's we talk about it a lot now, as you can tell, which is why I'm so
Which
like
is good.
candid about it.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's good. Absolutely, it's good. It helps us to to I don't know. We're just way more prepared and
Yeah.
way readier. I think in the last like 12 months, I think I've had one moment internally in the band where I've really like had a bit of like a reactive emotional episode.
Sure.
Because I'm curbing it and I'm much better at understanding my peaks and troughs and what triggers me and what really
Yeah.
sets me
Yeah.
off and what pokes and prods at my insecurities. Um, and thankfully, my best friends and my life partners who are in Belle Haven, like they know now as well, and they fully
Yeah.
get it as well. So I
Oh,
remember
that's
we
great.
had this issue with the music video for I Can't Find the Words. It was just like a little issue. I wasn't 100% stoked with the like we had a vision for it and it was kind of looking a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
and we were running out of time, and it just like triggered this emotional like,
Sure. Yeah.
oh my god, I'm so like I can't handle this stress, like I can't like,
Oh.
and immediately Tom and Mara were just like, I was talking about it with them the other day. They were just like, I can tell right now that you are doing that thing where you like freak out. I'm going to give you the space to do that, but I'm telling you right now, you don't need to. And like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
because instead of it being an elephant in the room, it was something that they felt they could address with me and sort of just talk to me about, but at the same time, let me experience. In about 5 minutes, I just calmed down, which comparative to what things have been like in 2017 or 18, if I got overly stressed and heightened and
Mm-hmm.
emotionally reactive and had like a bit of a quote episode,
Sure. Yeah.
it would be something that none of us would talk about. It would be really awkward, and it would create tension, and
Sure.
then
Sure.
it
Sure.
would just like elevate and elevate and elevate and elevate. So anyway, COVID happens. Pardon me, I digress. COVID
No. Yeah.
happens,
It's all right.
and we're talking about trying to do. We did a standalone single, "Forget Me," for a reason. It was like, let's
Mm-hmm.
just do one song and see how it feels. It did really well. It was awesome. So did. We started. We were like, all right, instead of writing an album, let's write like an EP.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that was when we started talking about doing "Time Changes Nothing." Unfortunately, COVID happened. I started drinking a lot, like I'd say like 80% of people did, sadly. I started drinking a lot and to pass the time, and I didn't realize the sort of negative impact that was having on my mental health as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Things were just getting a little bit rocky, and during the writing process for that EP, I became, and you can tell listening to it, like I just became like increasingly depressed and just
Sure.
fell
Yeah.
deeper and deeper into that place that I was back in 2017 again. Um, and look, I think like it's not that I'm glad that I went through that, but in a way, I'm almost like I always say about Time Changes Nothing. It was an EP written like as a record written about the storm whilst in the storm. Like I
Sure.
was
Yeah.
really in the thick of it when we were writing that. Like really, really like it wasn't like I was calling upon like a memory or
You were
pain or whatever.
living
I
in
was
it.
like
Yeah.
it was happening right then. So all of that stuff is like mistakes. Like that song is like something that I was very presently enduring at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and felt incredibly impactful to me at that time. So there's something really like almost like special and charming about that, and like it kind of acts as like a bit of a bookmark
Sure.
for my
Yeah.
life, for like a really impactful moment of my life. And whilst I'm not there mentally now, as you can tell, thankfully, and I'm in a much better place now,
It's good.
and for the foreseeable future,
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I will be. I think it's there's something important about having that. And look, man, people come up to me at shows like we've been on tour with a band called Banks Arcade
Woo.
here
Yeah.
at the moment. They're a fantastic band. Highly recommend you check them out. But they like these shows have been really touching. Like obviously we're playing I Can't Find the Words on this tour, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
exciting, and we're loving it. And you know the response has been fantastic. But every show, I'm getting people coming up to me, sharing with me their personal experiences with Time Changes Nothing and how much it helped them through like a really dark place and a
That's
grim
amazing.
place. And you know, if my mental health journey can lead to people understand help be conducive to people sort of understanding their journeys a little bit more,
Sure.
because obviously you know we're all very different people, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah, talking about that stuff is not something that even now in 2023, sometimes people are just not really great at talking about that
Yeah.
stuff. And
Oh yeah.
as you can tell,
100%.
we are big advocates for transparency
Same.
and
Yeah.
for yeah, 100%. So for normalizing that, and you know things like death and grief, and you know we don't want to celebrate them. That's not what I mean. But it's like
Yeah.
just
Be aware
if
of
we
them.
yeah, if we fail to address them, they just have these issues have the opportunity to just grow and expand and get
I would
worse and
agree.
worse and worse and
Oh
worse.
yeah.
So that's been really touching on this tour, and again just reinforces that I'm not glad that I went through that, but and that Belle Haven's journey over the last 5 years has been incredibly like inconsistent and
Yeah.
like dysfunction.
Roller
We've
coaster.
got yeah roller coaster. We've got this joke like all these Instagram stories from every show on this tour. Like everyone's like Belle Haven's back, baby, and it's like that's what all our Instagram stories from like people seeing us live for the last 5 years have been. Like we've been
Oh.
in this constant state of making a comeback. It's
Well,
really
hopefully
it's
this
kind
is
of funny. No,
hopefully
this
this
is
is
the
the
one
set.
now.
This is the
I
one.
assure
Yeah.
this is it now. Like we're here to stay now. I 100% assure you, but it is like it's kind of funny. You gotta
Yeah.
laugh a little
Ooh,
bit. It's like,
Yeah, you have to find
uh,
you have to find humor in it. And I
yeah,
do appreciate, Dave, that you're being very candid, because I feel like on my channel I'm very candid about my mental
awesome.
struggle
I'm
and stuff
so
like
about
that.
that.
And I feel like very similarly to you in 2020 and 2021, I had a influx of bands emailing me, DMing me, all this sort of stuff, because we were all inside and we couldn't do anything, and I loved
Yeah,
doing that. However, I did see the double-edged part of that sword, and I really just went head first into just interviewing every band I possibly could, spending in just an obscene amount of time working with bands, editing videos, doing all this
mm,
stuff, to the point where I was burnt out. Like, I was
yeah,
clearly burnt out. People had messaged me and said, like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" Stuff like that. And I would just play it off and be like, "Yeah, I'm fine. You know, I'm making content. This is what it's about. This is what YouTube is. Like, this is the
yeah,
type of things that they, you know, celebrate." And that's a very terrible word to say in this sort of context, but I feel like that's the case. It's like,
yeah.
people always ask me, I say it's like a treadmill. Like, you are constantly on this treadmill of making
So this is how
content.
you described being like a YouTube entertainer. It was like to
Oh yeah.
you, it was like being on a incredibly stressful hamster wheel
Oh
perpetually.
yeah,
Like
a
just
hundred
yeah,
percent.
right. That's really interesting. Merely like 2 days ago, like Tom, myself, and Mara were having a conversation very reminiscent of that,
Oh
talking
wow.
about how like we convinced ourselves that this is just what being in a band was.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like this
yeah.
is what it's like. So it sounds like you kind of had like a similar journey where it was like clearly like piling up on you, and you were
Correct.
just like, no, but this is what it is, right? Like this is
Yeah,
how
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It's fine. This is just what I do. And it
Well, I
doesn't
also
have to
think
be like that.
it's the mental gymnastics that you play in your head. You're like, well, this is
Mm,
the only way I'm going to be successful. This is the only way that people are going to see me. That's how I'm going to be seen, right? And
yeah.
it's simultaneously a good thing, because I think drive as a whole is a good thing, but I think you have to have a respect for that drive. You can't just
Yeah.
let it. You're. I feel like my whole journey of doing that during that time period was me being in the passenger seat and allowing my drive essentially to control the car. It was going to go
Mhm.
as fast and as far as it could if I just took my hands off the wheel and I just let it
Yeah.
do its thing, you know? And that
Yeah.
is one of the worst things you can do, because I think
Yeah.
the longer you have it less in check, the worse it's going to make you
It's yeah.
push
It is
and be.
so important that you leave that capacity for, like, today's a great example. Like, you know, I've just come off the back of a leg of tour, and it's like I've got my emails on my other screen, and there's so many emails that I should be getting to,
I
and
feel that, yeah.
so, but it's like I just don't think today's that day. I think I'm probably gonna, after this, I've got a couple of other interviews and chats that I'll have later today, but they're a little bit more in the afternoon because they're not all international. So I'll probably go to gym, like do some training, have a
Yeah,
chat
same.
with my friend at the gym, and then I'll come back here, probably hang with my partner tonight, play a little bit of World of Warcraft, and then tomorrow I'll do my emails and stuff, because sometimes, like, and that doesn't mean I'm not going to be successful. That means that I'm going to prevent myself from having some sort of meltdown,
Yeah, exactly,
because it
exactly.
might not be today, but the more days that I choose to just take my hand off and be like, well, if, like, I just have to have to keep going, and the car will just keep driving, and I'm just here, I'm just doing it. Like, the more that
Yeah.
I do that, it might not be today, but maybe this time next week, I'll have a similar experience, and I'll sit here and I'll just melt down about it, and I won't have that resilience to make it through every day
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So, I absolutely agree. It's you can be motivated, you can be hardworking, but also find that yin and yang where, like, you just take your foot off the throttle for just a
Yeah,
second,
oh yeah.
just for even if it's just for a couple of hours, like, just take your foot off that throttle and just relax and watch some anime or something. Like, just got to do it.
I also
Anyway,
feel that too, and I appreciate that you mentioned the gym, because I have been going back to the gym. I've been going for
awesome,
like roughly a little over 6 months, and people are probably
good.
tired of me mentioning that, but I will say,
No,
like, it is probably
go to the gym.
one of the best things you can do. I fully believe that is the case. Like, you
100%.
you need to get up and like do it, because I feel like for me
Yeah,
personally, like, I would be infinitely more stressed. I would be like, going to the gym, I just allow all of my stresses and all that's like rage or anger that I feel within my bones, like, I just let it all loose doing it at the gym, and then
Brandon is an angry man.
I
He's got
I
like
hope
that
I'm
Hulk out.
not. I feel like I do look pretty angry when I'm at the gym, but I swear to God, I
Are you a
assure you
grunter?
I'm a
Are you a
nice.
grunter?
I am not a
I'm a massive
grunter.
grunter.
Only
Oh,
the
I'm
reason
awful.
the only reason why is because I'm not trying to get thrown out of my Planet Fitness, but
Oh man,
but yeah, but I feel like
so bad.
if I was, then maybe I would. But I think that for me personally, and getting back to like the thing we like kind of landed on was that,
Mm,
like, I think you have to be honest with yourself, and I think that was
mm,
like what I learned in 2021, like 2020 and 2021, was that, like, you have to have that healthy respect of saying, like, yeah, like, I can do all this stuff, and like, it's a lot, I'm
mm,
sure being in a band is difficult. Running YouTube and doing, interviewing bands and scheduling all that stuff is also very difficult.
absolutely.
But you have to, like, know and understand that, like, you're one person, you're capable of only doing so much as an individual,
Yeah,
and you have to have that healthy conversation of being like, if this is too much for me, I gotta know that I'm not going to be spending my entire day sitting at my computer desk doing this,
yeah,
or whatever. Like, there's other things that you can go do. Go outside, smell the roses, like, go
yeah.
go do things that
100%.
that make you happy, because then I feel like you can invest so much more extra time or love into what you do, because you're not like, this is the only thing that I'm doing. This is the only
Yeah,
lane I'm in
100%.
and stuff. So
No,
I
I
have to
agree.
give you,
I'm really glad you've adopted that philosophy. That's good. It's important.
but
Can
it
you
takes
can you hear that chainsaw
I
outside?
cannot.
Can you hear
No.
that?
You
Okay, that's a relief because they've just started up again and it is very loud. I can hear you as long as
okay.
that's not
No.
too, like,
You
interruptive, then we're fine. Let me know if it
Discord
comes in.
Discord is great for this.
Yeah.
The noise suppress.
The
I'm not
gate.
trying
The
Discord, if
gate,
you want to
yeah.
sponsor me, that'd be great, but not to plug
Free nitro.
free
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 nitro.
nitro. I'd love that. But yeah, no, I think I appreciate you for being really candid, Dave, because I feel like a lot of the times when I talk to band members, and I feel like I would say as of more currently, it's been a little bit like people are able to say what they want to say about being in a
Yeah,
band, and I don't think
yeah,
we give enough credit or discourse to bands that make music. Like I could have very easily dismissed I can't find the words because obviously I love Time Changes Nothing. And
and
this
Speed
is a
Racer.
very much of a departure from the sound. I could have
We'll
been
talk about that.
easily been like, this is fucking shit. I hate this. Like blah blah blah. I could have said all that stuff, but I also feel like there's a level of honesty that I'm like, okay, this isn't time. Time changes nothing, but I also have
Mm,
to have that healthy respect that these are people that make this music. And
yeah,
despite me maybe not being like fully on board with it, I'm willing to like invest and willing to kind of be like, this might not have been for me, or maybe it might grow on me, but
yeah,
it might be for someone else. Someone else might be
yeah.
like, yo, this is the shit. I love this. This is great. And I think we have to get over the stigma of that. Like, if a band doesn't release something that is very specific to what you know and love, doesn't make it bad. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a difference of opinion.
Genre is definitely a lot more fluid now than when Belle Haven first started, which
Sure, sure, sure.
we've been talking a bit about how like through those peaks and troughs and those trials and tribulations, like we grew up playing shows and doing tours with bands like Polaris, right?
Oh, another
And
great one.
like
Yeah.
so yeah, fantastic band. And we were on the upswing in our career, in our trajectory around that same time that Polaris were really starting to pop off
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So we were a part of that generation of next up and coming band, but Polaris obviously just they just
Yes,
I mean, they're a
skyrocketed. Yeah.
fantastic band,
Oh,
like
they're great. Yeah.
fantastic band. But we instead had a lot of. That's not to say that Polaris haven't had their journeys
Sure.
internally. I'm sure they
Yeah.
have.
Oh yeah.
I haven't inquired. It's none of my business. But we had our own story and our own mental health tribulations and
Sure.
stuff, and that
Yeah.
really changed the trajectory of our band. And what's happened is we've kind of like skipped a generation. Kind of like Polaris are like they're fully like they're just
They're
they're
massive.
going like
Oh yeah.
that's just happening now. Like that's just they're not up and coming anymore. They're like they've came, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like now, where Belle Haven once again is like a part of this next surge, like the Banks Arcade, these bands
Yeah.
like Alt, like we're a part
Yeah.
of this next surge of like up and coming acts and artists. And honestly, like not that we didn't enjoy touring and everything with Polaris. We
Sure.
love
Yeah.
those guys, and any opportunity to be in the same room as them is always a privilege. But to there's something about where alternative music is now, where um, like when we released Forget Me after
Hmm.
releasing You Me and Everything Between, the album we did in 2017, and Forget Me was a little bit more like hi-fi, and a little bit more like polished, and the way that I use my voice was a little bit more like deliberately hooky and
Sure.
like
Yeah.
bit like cleaner and prettier and whatever, which is something that I love to do, and I feel that it's one of my strong arms. Um, but we copped a lot of heat, man. Like a lot of heat
Oh.
about like, oh, you guys are changing your sound and blah blah. Like we copped a lot. Like
Sure.
honestly, like comments and messages, like quite a fair bit. And like we didn't really take it personally because it's
Sure.
ultimately what we wanted to do. But there was a lot of people that were it didn't fit their idea of what Belle Haven should sound like. I remember seeing a comment that said, "quote," or like as
Paraphrased.
close to a
Yeah.
quote as possible, but it said they tagged their friend and said, "Lol, look, they've changed their sound again," or something. And it was like, what do you want us to do? Like, just keep playing the same song?
Oh
Like,
my
oh,
God.
like I'm not a kid anymore. Like, I'm a man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a very different place. Like,
Sure.
I'm in a very
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
now. So, and what's interesting though is comparative to that experience. So, I would say that Forget Me and Time Changes Nothing are at the very least within a similar realm. They're like
Sure.
that
Yeah.
post-hardcore, like they've got like metalcore-ish
Yeah.
elements.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Would agree.
mostly singy orientated, lots of hooks, but some heavier moments, really emotive. Very similar sort of brand. I can't find the words though. I didn't realize until like the day before it came out we always knew it was different, but
Sure.
like we listened to Time Changes Nothing, or sorry, I listened to Time Changes Nothing on the way to my studio to do some teaching. And then it was the first time I'd listened, because obviously it's a very dark EP, and
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't just
You're
casually,
not just
it's
like,
not
yeah,
easy
let me put
listening
this
to it,
on. This
like,
is great road
I
music. Yeah.
listened to it. Yeah. I listened to it with purpose. So I was like,
Yes, sir.
oh, I haven't listened to that in like 6 months. I'm gonna chuck that on and see how it makes me feel, and like just have a listen and remember that time
Sure.
again,
Yeah.
and just like dive into that. And I listened to that, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And also like, this is really grim.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But
It
then I
is.
was like, I'm curious. I'm going to listen to I Can't Find the Words now. And in that moment, I was like, holy crap, this is like completely different. Like, we are going to cop it hard tomorrow.
Oh boy.
Nothing.
That's
You are the
great.
first person who's even like really mentioned it. Really, like
Wow.
nobody's really
That's great.
said it's, and I think it's indicative of where music in general, but also alternative music. Like, look at Paramore, right? Like,
Oh
they
yeah.
just brought out a fantastic record, by the way. Like, I love it. We've just been spinning it nonstop in the van, but well, at least I have. Me and the guys listen to it nonstop. But like, This Is Why is like such a different record, even to their last one, Hard Times,
Sure.
which is then completely different from their self-titled before
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And you start to see it as like eras of a band, rather than like Paramore fits in this box.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
like,
Sure.
they're people that grow and change, and the type of music they listen to changes, their experience changes, and then subsequently the type of music they produce changes.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's the same with us. It's like, it's exactly the same with us. We're just in, like, we're still Belle Haven. We're still the same people. We're still, these best friends. We're still like,
That's great.
we're just
Yeah.
doing life together. We're just growing old together. Like, that's just what we're doing. But when, like, I'm not even a fraction of the amount of depressed that I was that I was
That's
writing
great.
like
Yeah.
Time Change. Yeah, and that's good, right? So
Yeah.
like, if you listen to the new song and you were like, oh wow, David's not writing about how he wants to die, and like, I mean, obviously the song's still sad. It's a sad song. Like,
Sure.
we
Sure.
really
Sure.
love to write emo music. Like, it's really our bread and butter. We love it. But there's some lyrics on Time Changes Nothing pretty full on lyrics.
Sure. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
if you listen to I Can't Find the Words and you're looking for those lyrics and you're not finding that, like, almost like dry, insensitive, like, just like balls out, like, I want to die lyric. I
Yeah.
think there's
Yeah.
literally a lyric. What's that lyric in Hopeless, Empty, Lonely, Painful? I don't want to be all right. I want to die. It's
Yeah.
literally
I
a
think
lyric that I
that's. I
wrote.
think you're
Like,
right. Yeah.
like, if you went into I Can't Find the Words, look for that, and you didn't find that, and then you were like, oh, I'm annoyed about this. It's like, well, sorry, man, I don't really want you to listen to my music then, because if you want me to be depressed to write music that you like, then that ain't gonna happen.
Oh,
Sorry,
sure.
like, that ain't it. So I think I'm feeling like this generation of alternative music is way more accepting and just embracing of like bands and genres within that band, like being a bit more dynamic, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just changing and moving over time. And we've said internally, like, we don't know whether we'll write more Time Changes Nothing style post-hardcore stuff. Like, we
Sure.
don't know. Fall Out Boy have just come back and started writing like Infinity on High stuff again.
Yeah.
Like,
They
after
did. Yeah.
doing like clean, polished hi-fi pop for the last like 5
Oh
plus
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Like, so there's no telling what we're going to do. But right now, we've been talking for so long about doing like pop punk, emo, alternative rock sort of stuff for
Sure. Yeah.
so long. We love listening to that stuff. Like, we love writing that stuff. I love writing that stuff. I love singing that stuff. And Belle Haven is our baby. So that's what we're going to do. And yeah, thankfully the feedback's been really good. And we're really appreciative of people like you who are like, yeah, this is different, but I'm just going to give it some time. And I'm just going to spin it. And like, because
Yeah.
I historically have really enjoyed this band. So I'm not just going to be like, nah, this is shit. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
time. And like, maybe you won't listen to it as much as Time Changes Nothing, or at all comparatively. Like, I appreciate that you didn't write us off entirely, and like, you've
Yeah.
given us
No.
time, and we've got some more music coming. So
Okay. Well, good.
hopefully you'll give that some
That's
time
good
as
to
well.
hear.
So
I
yeah.
do feel like with bands, in general, like I feel like I used to be very much before I even started doing YouTube. Like I used to be that like metalcore elitist, like in like the early
Yeah.
11s, you know, like 2011 stuff like that. I was like,
You were the one
yeah,
commenting
I
on our
was like,
videos,
yeah.
weren't you?
I hope not. I was.
They've changed their
I,
sound again.
oh yeah, I
They
can't
don't, they
believe
don't
they
go
did
anymore.
this. Yeah, I actually just changed my I actually just changed my YouTube handle. That was originally me. Um, no, I feel like with bands too, like, and I do have to agree with you, David. Like, just with bands growing and changing and stuff like that, I always think that as I'm getting older, like literally about roughly like 15 days from now, I'll be 30, so I'll be, you
Nice.
know,
Well,
beyond
happy
there's
birthday
a
in advance.
thank you, thank you. But I feel like for myself, like I I am missing out on so much music because I am being so close-minded, right? Like that's
Yeah.
and
You
I think
pigeonhole
that
yourself.
yeah, and I think that the thing is that like I could have very easily been like, yeah, there was a time period where I was like, yeah, I don't like pop music. Well, why do who listens to top 40 music, And then meanwhile, I'm like, I say this a lot, but like. I really enjoyed the new Harry Styles album, like that
Yeah.
was something that I
Nice.
personally enjoyed and it was great. And like, I'm very excited to listen to the new Paramore album because I haven't listened to that yet.
Highly
Um,
recommend. Running Out of Time is such a banger.
Oh,
I love that
okay.
song so much. It's
Okay,
so
good.
good.
I'll keep it locked in here. But
Yeah,
I feel like for
please.
me, it's like I kind of get tired of a band that writes the same thing. Like
Mm.
there's nothing, and I mean there are bands that do it well, and I don't want to discount them if they very much keep to that sound and they do it well. Like all the kudos to them, and that's
Mhm.
great. But I don't feel like it should be I don't feel like bands should always have the same thing, doing the same thing over and over and over again, because either way you look at it, you have people that are like, man, Belle Haven changed their sound. I can't believe it. Like this is
Yeah.
crazy. And then you have people that are like, man, they haven't changed their sound in like 3 records. I don't what's going on, right? So
Yeah, it's exactly right.
you can't win,
It's
right?
exactly right.
Like
Yeah.
if you're in a
And then
band,
you've also got people that are going to be like, "Oh, yes, Belle Haven changed their sound. Like that's all.
y-
I really like this. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Like there's people everywhere that have different opinions. So
But I feel like there for me too, like I appreciated, and even with I can't find the words, like I feel like there was a level of honesty that I was like, okay, I listened to China Changes Nothing, and then ironically enough, after I listened to Can't Find the Words, I went back and listened to Time Changes Nothing just because I hadn't listened to it a little bit, and I was like, man, this is sad. This is a rough this is a very rough
yeah,
EP. I was like, I
yeah,
obviously talked it a lot, and it was. I mean, I still think the musicality of it is great, but like, I
yeah.
listened to the music and like looked over the lyricism, and I was like, this is dark. Like, this is
Yeah.
rough. Like, and I think maybe just because when I was listening to it at that current time, I was like, going through some stuff, so I felt like that kinship of that
Mm,
EP. And now that I'm like kind of out of it and having like, you know, feeling the positivity of life, like now I'm
mm,
like, I understand like the sound change and I understand like the shift of that. And I mean,
mm.
I'm all here for it. I'm excited for what Belle Haven's gonna be doing next
Oh
because
man, that's awesome.
I think
Me
for
too.
me it's like you have to have that like that honesty. Like I feel like whenever I do the reviews or reactions, like and I've always felt that way just about like music in general. Is like if it doesn't hit me, like I'm only going to put out something that I feel like I want to represent the band in the best way possible, but also at the
Mm.
same time, like I don't want to seem like I'm just shilling. Like I'm like, oh, David, the most goated
Yeah,
singer of
yeah,
all
yeah.
time,
Yeah, I get
best,
it. Yeah, for sure.
but I want to
I get
have
it.
that sense of
Want to
realism.
be authentic.
Yeah, authentic. And but I also feel like at the same time if I really enjoy it, I get comments from people saying like, "Oh my god, this is so fake. I can't believe you say some shit about this or whatever." And I'm just like very similarly to artists, like you can't win. You either like say
Yeah.
some really nice
Yep.
shit, and people are like, "Oh yeah, yeah, Brandon, you're right, 100%." And
Yeah,
then you have
yeah.
people who are like, "Yeah, this fucking sucks. I can't believe they changed their sound. Like, I don't your opinion on this sucks." And I'm like,
Yeah.
and usually my comment is just like, "You make a video about it. saying
Yeah.
how shit it is. What is that going to do for anybody or anything, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
making it worse than it has to be, and
W-
it's
Just
not
like
good.
giving, just like, what's that old saying from oh man, I just picked up my slippers and I'm pretty sure a slug has been crawling on my slippers. There's like sticky ooze on my,
Well, you only hear it
that's
here
weird.
first, guys.
We've only lived here for like a month and a bit, so I wasn't aware that. Yeah, that is 100% like some slug action. There's
Oh man.
whoa, that is wild. All right, well, I'm putting them on.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Sorry, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
It's all good.
Prior to the slug, talking about yeah, it's like, what is it? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say
Don't say it
anything.
at all.
And it's not
Yeah.
to say it's not to say that you can't offer your opinion about how you don't enjoy something, but you don't need to be like
An
tearing
asshole. Yeah.
shreds. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to be an
That's what
asshole.
I say.
Like,
That's my
I
motto I live
disagree.
by.
I don't like it. That's all
Yeah.
right. You do
My
you.
my
Like, that's
motto
fine.
is don't be an asshole. Like that's
Yeah,
that's like if you don't like it, that's fine.
yeah,
This making music and stuff like that isn't for you. It's for
yeah,
whoever is creating it, right?
yeah.
And
100%.
so I feel like there's a level of honesty you have to have with yourself. If that's something you're not feeling, just say you're not feeling it. That's it.
Mhm.
Like you don't have to you don't have to put that negativity out into the world if you don't
Yeah,
like
100%.
if that's not your vibe. Like I get it. There's some
Yeah,
shit that I don't like personally, but I'm also like not promoting it. Like people are like, "Oh,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
why aren't you doing the new Falling in Reverse song?" And I'm like, I am not a fan of that band. It's not
yeah.
because I don't
Just
think that I don't, it's not because it's the music that I don't like. It's just like it just doesn't jive with me, and I'm not gonna.
yeah.
I kind of
You're not gonna
keep
give it
it.
airtime if you're not vibing it, but
Exactly, and I'm
you're not gonna
also
make a
not the type of
13-minute video just talking shit
yeah.
either. Like, oh,
I'm
this
not
is
a
shit. I
negative
don't like it.
I'm not a negative person, so I feel like
Yeah.
for me, like I don't like to put that out there, and I
Hmm.
live by this one quote about I think well, now I think I know it is. It's Guy Fieri, so like he
Hmm.
obviously makes a lot of videos about going to different restaurants and stuff, and
Hmm.
somebody had asked him. He said, oh, why don't you go to this like, if you don't like a restaurant, like how come you don't show a video about you not liking that restaurant? And he's just like he's like why? Why would I do that, right? Like these are
Hmm.
people that have a business and they're making food and they're doing all this sort of stuff. Like why would I go through the extra effort of like
Yeah.
using my platform as being like a food reviewer and say like this place sucks. I fucking hate this place.
Yeah.
Don't
Just
come
tear
here.
them down.
Yeah, tear them down.
Yeah.
And he's like, if I don't like it or if I don't feel like it works, we just like scrap the episode and we just don't air it. And I think that's kind of the motto that I live by, which is like, if I don't feel like I'm gonna say anything nice about it, then I'm just not gonna do it, or it just
Yeah.
just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Also, David, you're oh, it's
Is this
great. That's
how
better.
is it now?
It's
We good?
fixed
We good?
now. We'll
I
we'll
have no
we'll
idea
keep
what
an
went
eye
on.
on it.
Let me know if it happens again. Sorry.
No, it's no problem. But yeah, I feel like just to kind of surmise the whole thing because this
Mm.
is we're literally in these first questions still, but
Oh my
it's all
god.
right.
Yeah. Sorry. All
I
right. I'll
think for
try and.
me, no, it's all good. It's all good, David. As long as you have the time, we'll continue on. I
I know for
appreciate it.
sure.
But I feel like I find that the way that Belle Haven works now is very similarly to like Beartooth, right? Because I think
Mm.
Caleb talked about like he was like, oh well, somebody had asked him like, oh, why don't you write like why don't you write like darker lyrics? Because I think it was at the time they released Riptide, and he was like, this was like a very positive song, and he made like a video about saying like, yeah, I'm done like feeling like shit. This is
Mm.
now how I want to live. Like I want to start writing like happier songs, and
Hmm.
I find that that sort of trajectory is similarly to what you guys are doing, where you're just like, listen, like I'm not gonna say everything is peaches, like we're
Is
good,
great. Yeah.
but I also want to say that like I'm not in that place anymore, and I mean, as much
Yeah.
as like I'm sure that you get the enjoyment of playing those songs live and experiencing that with fans at the shows as well as like
Hmm.
people online that enjoyed the time changes nothing uh
Hmm.
I think we have to also expect that or hope that, that you don't get in a position like that again.
Yeah,
I want that. I feel like I wouldn't want you to feel
thank you.
shitty about it, or be in a
Yeah.
shitty position. But I
Mm.
also like understand that if you do start to write stuff about like that stuff again, then I can feel that sort of kinship and relatability to that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think there's that like honest conversation you have to have with yourself, and
Mhm.
I think
Well, I
as
think
much
that's kind of the key word is like ultimately, like time changes nothing, forget me, you mean everything between, or I can't find the words. All of that, the whole way through. One thing that I can like, yes, the sound has changed a little bit from record to record,
sure,
release to
yeah.
release. One thing that has not changed is I've been the person that writes like 95% of the lyrical content in Belle Haven for pretty much the whole time.
Hmm.
And one thing that I can tell you, like from a lyrical perspective especially, that hasn't changed is that it is just incredibly honest, and that I'm very transparent in. So I can't find the words. It's still sad. It is still a very sad song, and it is about something that I still feel very sad about. But I'm
Sure.
not about to, you know, I'm not having. I mean, I would talk. I would talk about it candidly with you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm not in some really dark, grim, dangerous
Sure.
place like I
Yeah.
was when we wrote Time Changes Nothing. I'm just able to reflect on, for example, the event that inspired me to write about. I can't find the words, and I'm able to reflect on that and feel sad and feel that genuine that sadness and I guess that grief
Hmm.
for the loss of a friendship and a relationship. Um, but it doesn't have to be like, yeah, it doesn't have to be quite as. It's all still very honest,
It's
very
yeah,
very
it doesn't
honest. It
have
is
to be as
absolutely still
grueling.
very honest.
I
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how
for
that's
sure.
how I see it. It's like, yes, this is a very sad topic. It's a sad song very similarly to Time Changes Nothing, but like the
Mm,
meaning and the way that like people perceive you and how, the interaction goes live, and for people to come up to you and be like, hey, this is I've struggled with this, and
mm,
I'm sharing my experiences with you, the person who
mhm.
wrote these songs and have experienced it. It's like, it must be a very like genuine and like really kind of almost in a sort of weird way, like a wholesome way of it, going
Yeah,
about it and saying like, yeah, like this sucks, but like we can work through this together. Like there's a way for us to grow as individuals. And I appreciate your candidness on being like just saying how you feel and being honest in the writing that you guys put out, because I think that was something that, maybe if, the sound did change, but I feel like the honesty and the way that you guys approach
yeah,
writing music is still the same, and I
yeah.
appreciate that.
And that's why we didn't even bother entertaining any ideas of doing things like rebranding or anything like that, because to us this is still just as Bellhaven as always.
I would agree.
It is just as much Bellhaven as it has ever been. It just hits a little different, just
It
hits a little
does.
different. But we're still going through similar processes internally, and it's just the shift in you know the sound, the little shift in sound and whatever is just indicative of sort of where we're at. We're just
Yeah,
things have changed a bit, and I would say I would say for the best as well. I think
that's
not to say
good.
that because Time Changes Nothing is a great record, and I love that record, and obviously a lot of people love that record, which is so cool, so cool. And I don't want people to feel guilty for listening to that or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
um, just I don't want you to listen to it and have that experience now clouded with like, oh, I've met David, and he told me that when he was writing that he was in a really 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 dark place, and now I can't unhear that, and I can really I don't want to celebrate that or whatever. It's not like that. It's just that, like, just where we are now is just a little less, frankly, pardon the French, but like just a little less fucked up, and we're just
Yeah,
things are just
sure.
a little less
Yeah.
fucked up. But we're still Bellhaven, and we're gonna keep writing emo bangers, man. Like, the next couple of songs that'll be coming out, um, yeah, lyrically very genuine again, and the reality is that they're not metal songs. They're definitely not metal songs. Um, they're very high energy, and I'm really excited to show people. Really, really excited to show people what we've been doing. But yeah, I think I can't find the words. Was a really nice like dipping the toes in the water
Yeah,
and
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
sort of what the response was like. And overall, it's just been so profoundly positive, like
That's
almost like
awesome.
just like jarringly positive. I was anticipating so much more weird negative response.
Sure,
We've
yeah.
had like some key member changes. We've had lots that's happened. And everyone's just like, sick, Belle Haven. Like, it's so cool. It's so sick. I'm really grateful. So hopefully we can continue those good vibes and keep celebrating. But yeah, question 2.
Question 2. Yeah, it's all right. You know, honestly, people are like, "Oh my god, I don't know how you spend so much time with these artists." And I was like, I actually enjoyed the kind of like longer
Yeah,
interviews because
time
I
just
think
gets away.
time
Time
gets
just gets
away,
away.
but I also feel like, you know, I appreciate the level of being honest because I think
Yeah,
sometimes when I have artists on and they're like, this is the first time. I want to preface that this is the first time David and I have met
mm,
virtually. And, you know,
mm,
like we hadn't talked other than the fact that I had, you know, DM'd him on Instagram, you know,
yeah,
Belle Haven as a whole, you know. So
yeah,
I think for me, it's like this is a good opportunity that I feel like highlights the band, and obviously go check out Belle Haven. You already know there's links in the description to go give them a follow, but um you know, I appreciate the like the candidness because I think sometimes like when you have artists on, they can like, you know, hold the cards close to the chest, you know, and I think
mm,
that a lot of the artists I've had on within the past like couple years, especially going through like COVID and stuff, like I think bands are more willing to speak about like some of the issues
yeah,
that they have and being honest. And I know for myself, that's always been a point of pride for what I do and being honest with,
yeah,
you know, how I feel about things. So, you know, as much as I loved talking about, you know, the origin of it, I do appreciate that you are also being very candid and being honest and open about, you know, things that you struggle with because I think that's equally as important. And I didn't want to just like feel like, okay, we have this segment of doing this and like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah,
I
it's not. Yeah, this isn't like a, we're not at a McDonald's point of service.
yeah.
This isn't like an exchange.
I'm not making the
So I
burger,
was looking
yeah.
forward. Yeah, I was looking forward to having this conversation because that's exactly what it is. It's a conversation. It's an opportunity to meet someone
Sure.
who has listened to my craft and had their own relationship with my craft. This is a privilege for me.
Oh,
So yeah,
same.
I'm sorry for talking your ear off
That's
because
my
here we
also
go.
my roommate, my
Yeah,
roommate's cat.
we got some cat action going on.
That's
Nice.
it. He'll
Um,
find his way through there.
yeah, we'll see
But
how it
yeah,
goes.
I appreciate it, guys. We'll move on to the next question because
Mhm.
obviously I have to know in terms of the influences now, like who influences your guys' style in terms of
Mhm.
Bellhaven? Because as we mentioned before, styles have changed, the
Yeah, it's a
musicality of
little
it
bit
has
different.
changed.
Yeah.
But who kind of got you started out, Dave, into music? Who was like the first initial person you were just like, I want to do this. This is cool. Like this is the
Man, that's a really
artist.
good question. I think there's a lot of different, like I grew up, mine and CV's parents, well, our family is just very musical.
Oh, very
Um,
nice.
uh,
Okay.
my dad still plays bass in a cover band. My mum's got a
Oh.
beautiful voice, and if it weren't for her, she has a bit of arthritis in her hands, which sucks, but she's really quite good at piano as well.
Oh, very
So
nice.
I got that from her. And so we CV and I grew up being exposed to a lot of really great different music. But for me, like the biggest turning point, I think, was when I was like 16 or 17. I kind of always wanted to do music, and I had been doing music, but I didn't have any real vision for how to like make a career or anything like that. Pardon me.
Sure, sure, sure.
But when I was like 16, 17, I don't know if you would have heard of them. They're they were really big in Australia for a time during like early 2010. I don't know what their reach overseas would have been. But have you heard of the band The Getaway Plan?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, they're still around now, but they're not hyping quite as much, I guess, as they. I think their new stuff's fantastic. We love it.
Okay.
But this is a different era now. But they were really sort of like kings of like Australian alternative sort of emo around like 2007, 8, 9, when I was like a proper kid, and
Mhm.
they were sort of they were headlining all the local shows and stuff, and they were just on the precipice of really starting to blow up. And I saw them live, and they were just like these Australian dudes, like just I don't know. I met a couple of them. They're just like so
Oh, very
chill and
nice.
so just like normal, and just they just wanted to jam and hang out and like
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know. I remember going to a couple of their shows and just being like, I want to do this. Like this looks fun. Like this looks really rewarding, and like being a part of that audience and that energy, and like I paid to be there, you know. It's like I
Yeah.
wanted to experience that with the
Yeah.
band. So the fact that that was genuine. Nobody twisted my arm to go to these Getaway Plan
You're
shows.
just like,
My
let's
friends
go.
are like, yeah, my friends are like, the Getaway Plan are playing Hi-Fi Bar. Do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, how much are tickets? Let's go. I remember that particular show that I'm remembering. I had a shift at work, like immediately after the show. So I wore my work uniform under a hoodie, went to
Wow.
the because I just so desperately wanted to go.
Yeah,
Bought a
yeah, yeah.
ticket, went to the show, left, caught an hour train, went to work for like 5 hours. And the fact that I guess I just sort of had that realization. Right, good enough music. Like there will be people like me that will want to spend their real life hard earned money to come and experience that
Yeah,
music
yeah, yeah.
live with me. And I think then was when I was sort of like, I want to do this. Like I really want to do
Yeah.
this. Like this looks this is what I want to do. Like so the Getaway Plan and Closure in Moscow, I think
Oh,
all,
yes.
all of us, yeah. So yeah, similar era. Closure in
Okay,
Moscow and
okay,
Getaway
okay.
Plan were kind of blowing up at like the same time.
Ah, okay.
They're like that. They were like the alternative emo early 2000s, like Polaris and Alpha of Australia, I guess.
Oh,
Like
okay,
they were
okay.
really starting to. They were putting Australia on the map with alternative music
Love
back
it.
then. So, um, obviously we had like Parkway Drive and stuff, but the more
Yeah.
alternative emo sort of stuff was Getaway Plan and Closure in Moscow. So, um, yeah, and I think that's kind of I actually think that's actually I know that Tom in Belle Haven would say very similar things. He would be like, yeah, Getaway Plan and Closure in Moscow for him as
Ooh,
well.
okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure about Mara, but even like for CV, who's not in Belle Haven anymore, but we're all very close. He's my little
Sure.
brother, so like,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, it was very similar for him as well. I think he'd probably say Getaway Plan and Closure in Moscow as well. Very big pivotal bands for us that just like motivated us to be like, oh man,
We could do
because
this.
I remember we saw Closure in Moscow at like a rehearsal studio when we like first started, and we were like,
What?
they're just a band like us. They just like rehearse. They just come and rehearse at a studio, and like
That's
then they go play shows. And like,
amazing.
so we're like, we can do this. Like, I think they were, yeah, they were the bands that really sort of did it for us. I think,
I
yeah,
love that you guys mentioned Closure in Moscow. I feel like again, they're such that underrated band.
yeah,
First
really
Temple
cool band.
is
Yeah.
arguably one of the greatest. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Such an underrated band. And arguably one of those bands that I feel like if you haven't heard, you need to go check them out. First
Yeah, you
Temple
do.
again is my arguably one of my. I would say it's in my top probably top 25 favorite albums of all time, I would argue,
Yeah, it's a very
that's
good record.
it's such
The
a great
EP they
record.
did before that is real. It's got that song, "Patience and the Penance." I think is
Yes,
the,
yes, The
or is
Patience
that
and
the
the
name of
Penance.
the EP? I can't remember. But anyway, that
We'll
that
look it up.
that era of the band is really cool as well. Really, really.
Y-
Um,
yeah, I would agree.
but yeah, obviously there were a lot of like musical that went into early Belhaven as well. But I think in terms of just like the motivation to make something of it and really like actually try, I really think Getaway Plan and Closure in Moscow were pretty pivotal bands for us as a youth. I think.
It was the Penance and the Patient that came out in
There we go. I got it
2008.
backwards. Sorry. Yeah. Penance and the
You
Patience. Yeah.
don't worry. I say a bunch of fucked up stuff here on the channel, so I make sure to whenever I have a guest on that they're no one can't no one can say
Yeah.
shit in the comments. That's what I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
happen. But yeah, I feel like now I'll have to go check out the Getaway Plan now because I think they're
Yeah,
a
yeah.
band
I
that
think
I
listen to their record "Where the City Meets the Sea." That's the
ooh
record that sort of came out during that era of like Closure as well, like the Penance and the Patience as well, same sort of era. And you'll probably hear it too. You'll be like, ah, yes, I can hear the early 2000s Australia in
I
this.
love
Like,
it. Oh, I can tell you just I am I don't care if anybody comes at me, but I am just like a simp for like old like progressive like Australian post-hardcore music. I don't it just
yeah,
there's
man.
just something about it. It was like very similarly to like Hands Like Houses and stuff like early like the first like Ground Dweller again, another
Yeah.
fantastic Australian like
So
post-hardcore
yeah,
band.
Hands Like Houses are another band really sort of setting that tone, and putting our name on the map, so to speak, for sure.
I agree. Guys, listen, you guys show love to the Australian post-hardcore scene, one of the best scenes out there. Still
Yeah,
arguably one of the best scenes. You
I'm
know,
so
I
glad you
talk
feel
about
that way. I
Thornhill all
agree.
the time,
Yeah,
Void of Vision,
yeah,
Polaris. I somebody also recommended me Banks Arcade. They're coming into the States
yeah.
this year,
Yes,
so
they are.
I am gonna
They
go
are.
see them.
They're a
Uh
fantastic band. Yeah,
Okay,
really
great.
good.
I'm
Really, really
very
good.
stoked. I'm very stoked. I again I would have
You're
just went for
becoming an
Banks Arcade.
honorary Australian at this stage,
I
I think. Like
should.
you just
I guys, when will I become an
apply for
Australian?
citizenship. Let's go.
I feel like I wouldn't
You
be
put
the
your desk
first.
back here. I'll move my
Okay.
piano. Whatever.
Woo!
Let's get it going.
Let's go, baby. Love it. Oh man, that'd be awesome. I'm still on that train of I'm trying to do audio addiction worldwide, so eventually
Cool.
I'm gonna make the trek to Australia.
Yeah,
That's
you'll
the
have
goal.
to. Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
goal.
that'd be great.
But
The wildlife here isn't as scary as everyone makes it out to be. I promise. It's a little
I
scary
it's
sometimes,
just a
but
little
I mean,
scary.
just slugs on the slip is
Yeah,
scary. It's
exactly.
not. It's
Yeah, I
not.
think
It's not that
that's
bad.
I can live with that, you know? It's just more so when you look up in the sky and there's just, I saw this one clip from Australia where there's a bunch of spiders in the air. That's,
Yeah,
that arguably would
that
scare the
stuff
shit out of me.
happens.
Yeah, so that
Yeah,
stuff happens. Yeah, but it's fine. I think I could live with that. I would
I
probably
remember
be
when I was a kid, I used to be confused about spiders. I was like, can they fly? I don't get it. Like, why are they always in the air? Or like you see like a web from like the top of some tree all the way across to some like other tree. And it's like, how did you, can you, are you swinging a web like Spider-Man? Like, what? I
Yeah.
don't get it. Like, anyway,
The world will
yeah.
never know. If you are from
It's a
Australia,
mystery.
if you're from Australia, give me your best comment. I need to know what the thought process is, so
Yeah.
would love to know.
Tell us your best wildlife experience.
Exactly. I would love to hear that. The next question I have for you, Dave, is what are you currently listening to? Obviously, you guys just got back from, a partial portion of the tour, but
Yeah.
what are you listening to on the daily right now?
I was kind of hoping that you would ask me this,
Oh,
because
nice.
I've been really blessed with like a couple of new records all like at the same time
Oh
that I
yeah.
just keep bouncing between. Let me get my Spotify
Oh,
open
I
quickly.
love it. All right, there we go. Respect.
So I have been obviously been listening to the new Paramore record This Is Why came out
Ooh.
on Friday, so I've been spinning that heaps. Um, Emma Rosa also brought out a new record called Sting, which is like
Ooh.
real cool. So I keep listening to that too. But then before that, I was listening to. Have you heard of a band called Set It Off before?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they
Great.
brought out a record Elsewhere, which is like it's got a lot of pop element to it, and I just really love the snark in that singer's voice. Man, he just has so much character in the way that he delivers everything, and man, I'm addicted to it. I cannot stop listening to it. So I was listening to that a lot, but then also, I don't know how, but they found us. I don't know how, but they found me. Is it us or me? Hang on. Oh, I don't know how, but they found me. Pardon me. They've got a record Razzmatazz which came out in 2020, and I've been spinning that a
Yes.
fair bit again as well. So I'm definitely a big album listener. Like I listen to albums.
Same.
I don't know whether that's because I'm old. I'm not sure what it
Same.
is, but like I love listening to albums. I do love listening to like bits and bobs here and there, but yeah, I love putting on like a whole album and listening
Oh,
from start to finish. Like it's like watching
same.
a movie for me. I
Yeah.
love it. I love watching it all like flow.
Yeah.
Those songs are in that order because the band decided
Uh,
that. So that's kind of how I approach. So I'd say they're the four that I've been spinning the most at the moment. This is why Paramore, Elsewhere, by Set It Off, Razzmatazz by I Don't Know How But They Found Me, and then Sting by Amorosa, which is like super 80s pop sort of synthwave sort of stuff, which the singer of that band just really uses a lot of like head voice, which it's very like Weekendy, I think,
Okay.
which I just really love. I really enjoy the way that he's using his voice on this new stuff. So that's what I've been spinning heaps at the moment, is those 4 records for sure.
I'm Team David on this because I also am old and also listen to albums front to back. You know,
Start to
that
finish, yeah.
I feel like you gotta get the full experience. Like I feel like a single is like, oh, it's nice, it's cool, you know, but there is like a storyline behind it. You know, there's like especially with with Belle Haven, which I imagine this is a part of something larger and not just I can't find the words, but. I feel like for myself, like, I'm like in my head, I'm like, I'm waiting for the next song so I can like kind of figure out like
start to keep painting the picture. You need the next puzzle piece,
yeah,
so to
yeah.
speak.
It's like,
Sure.
it's like DLC, in a game. Like, you get the main game, but like, each consequential song after that is like a DLC, and I think that to me is really cool. And then like the album is like the complete edition, like you get everything all together, and I
For
just love
sure.
that.
I mean,
So
after a while, like I'll listen to a record and then I'll go back and spin a couple of songs like here in a
sure,
row.
yeah.
But it's kind of like, I also, when I'm having lunch, I love MCU films. Like I love superhero stuff. I'm
Oh
a
yeah.
massive nerd.
Same.
So every now and again, I'll be eating lunch and I'll just jump on YouTube and I'll watch, like a scene from Endgame or something that I really love, and just like watch that one scene. Ultimately, the film is best enjoyed from start to finish.
Sure.
But every now and again, it's okay to like break it up a bit. But yeah, I think generally like listening to albums in full is just, that's the epitome of music listening.
Oh yeah. And also I think to me, like, the bands put so much work and effort into like
Yeah,
putting
that's
an album together.
yeah,
You gotta
for
give it
sure. Well,
its due
our record,
diligence.
You, Me, and Everything Between, is literally called You, Me, and Everything in Between, because the first track is you and the last track is me. So you're supposed to. We wrote it to listen to it in full. The whole thing is a story. Like, I think maybe that's why I sort of adopted this philosophy after all. Maybe was doing that record. But yeah, I feel like you're exactly right. Bands put a lot of effort into. Typically, bands will put a lot of effort into which track goes where and why, even if it's just for the sake of flow.
Sure,
This one
yeah.
feels good coming in after this song. Like, even if that's the case, it's like that's what they decided. Like, that's what I'm gonna. Let's not talk about Star Wars though, because that's a whole different can of beans. And whether we watch episode 4, 5, 6 first, or 1, 2, 3, but maybe another time. Maybe another time.
That's another thing to delve into at a later time. I'm not trying to create
Interview number
discourse.
2.
I'm
Interview
not
number
trying
2.
to create the discourse in the nerd community. I'm just gonna let that lie where it's supposed to be. But
Oh
yeah, the
man.
album thing, I'm very much on that train. If most people know here on the channel, that's what I love. That's what I'm about
Yeah.
here. So I can't agree with you more on that. But the
Yes.
next question I have for you, David,
Mhm.
what song would you recommend to a new listener checking out Belle Haven for the first time? They watched like us talk about mental health, all this sort of stuff, and they have somehow managed to, continue listening to this interview, which, if you are, thank you for spending the time. But, what song would you recommend to a new listener, kind of give you a vibe idea of the band?
What if we broke it down into like 3 sections,
I
right?
love
So it's
it. Do it
like,
up.
so we have like, it depends what your needs are, right? So if you are a fan of the riff, you love a
The
little bit of
riff.
riff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
love a little bit of riff. You love a little bit more like of that post-hardcore action. You want to
Okay.
hear the band being a band.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe listening to Nobody Likes a Hospital might be like the way to go.
Ooh,
It's
yeah,
got like
okay.
that hooky
Yeah,
chorus,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like, and definitely, I don't think there's a single Belle Haven song that doesn't paint a picture that's like, oh, okay, this is an emo band. Like I get it. Like, I get there. So I don't think we need to worry about getting the underlying theme of the band across. I think any song will do that. I
Sure.
think if you really like the heavies, like if you're into a bit more heavier sort of stuff, typically you listen to bands like Polaris or something, and you want something you're looking for something that's got a little bit of heaviness in there. Maybe nobody likes a hospital. I think I usually like my go-to is typically just like have a spin of Forget Me and let me know what you think, sort of thing. Like that's sort
Okay.
of I really like Forget Me. I'm really proud of that song. I'm really proud of a lot of the like a lot of the elements of that song, but like the bridge in that song, I love to sing. Love the chorus. Like I just don't think there's a part in that song I don't love. So I'm very proud of it.
Hmm.
And that's sort of like my go-to. But for a third option, um, if you want to be on track with what we are currently doing, and you're all about the hook, and you're all about the vibe and the feeling, then I Can't Find the Words is definitely what it would be. We're really proud of of that song, and that was the first song after COVID and everything finally
Hmm.
passed. That was the first song that we demoed a bunch of stuff, and just sort of kept demoing and scrapping. Well, not scrapping, but just being like, this isn't quite it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
This isn't quite. And that was the first one. Like, nah, this is the Juan. Like, this is awesome. And we fleshed it out in like 4 or 5 days, man. Like, so we're really proud of that song, and it's a big indicator for where we're sort of going with Belle Haven. And I think my voice on that song is great. Like, I really like the way it sounds, and I don't know how that makes me sound, but I love listening to it. I'm really proud of it. And that look, maybe I'd call that option A. Option A, I Can't
Okay.
Find the Words.
Yeah, I feel that.
Option B, Forget Me.
Okay.
Option C, if you want something like a little bit heavier and a little
A deep cut.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah, then maybe Nobody Likes a Hospital. But either one of those for a first listen is going to be a good first listen, I think.
I would agree. I feel like if you are tuning into this band and you haven't heard of them, I Can't Find the Words is probably the best example of where I feel like you guys are heavy enough, but also at the same point, like you're very much telling on like, okay, this is what we're gonna do next. This is the vibe we're
Mm,
going for. Like,
yeah,
either like it, you don't like it. That's it.
yeah,
But I also appreciate the deep cut answers as well too, because I feel like for me personally, I always love going back and listening to like the back catalog of bands and then kind of
yeah,
coming to the present day and listening to what they've released more currently gives me a better idea on that. So if you are very much like,
yeah.
a
Paints a
music
picture.
nerd like me, yeah, if you're a music nerd like me, do that. If not,
Yeah,
I Can't Find the Words. Great example
yeah.
of
That's probably a better way to put it. Yeah, if you just listen to music because like everybody listens to music for different reasons, right? If you're like
yeah,
a car music guy, and you just or like gym music, you're not really like listening to music to like sit here and analyze.
yeah.
Um, then yeah, maybe I Can't Find the Words is the one for you. But if you want to go back and like really dive and paint the big picture that is Belle Haven, because it is quite a long picture at
It
this
is.
stage.
It is.
Long picture, long
It's a big,
story,
big,
big picture.
big pic. I got what you meant. I'm picking on what you're putting down.
Yeah, that's really funny. That's a inside Belle Haven. Do you pick it up while I put it down, baby? Anyway,
Well, now it's an actual
now
joke.
you know. Now
Now,
you know.
yeah.
But yeah, then maybe like going back in the hospital or even just that time changes. I think yeah. Just look. I think the best course of action for your life right now, for your best course of action, is to get off this video and listen to a Belle Haven song.
Yeah.
That's. I think if you don't do that, you'd be really letting yourself down.
You'd be really letting me down if you didn't continue upping my watch time here on the video. So make sure to stick it out. We still got a little bit of ways to go, but if you do wind up making it to the end, you are a saint. So, um,
Yeah, yeah.
but yes, go check out Belle Haven. You already know, links in the description. I Can't Find the Words will be the first one link, and then also
Nice.
my reaction video if you want to watch that. If you apparently can't get enough of me talking normally, so go check that out.
Yeah, if this
Uh,
isn't giving you that
if that wasn't
boost,
enough,
then
then yeah, please, my watch time is just I can feel it skyrocketing now. But the next question I have for you, David, is if you guys could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
oh, can it be one we've already covered?
No, you got to give me a fresh one.
Oh, damn. Okay, freshie.
No cop
Um,
outs.
maybe like Misery Business by like Paramore. I think we've been
Ooh!
vibing a lot with Paramore. Um, Yeah, maybe Misery Business by Paramore. I think I'd love to try
I
that.
love
That'd be
that.
sick.
I
Yeah,
love that.
that'd
I
be
love
sick.
that. Oh, that'd be very sick.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear your take on that. So if
yeah.
if I could take my metaphorical token, which I'm just gonna use as my like camera lens here, that is my metaphorical token to enter that choice in. But guys, if you do want to know what song you would just love to hear Belle Haven cover, drop them in the comments. I'm sure they'll check
I
it
mean,
out.
maybe we'll make it happen.
Maybe we'll make it happen. Can't confirm or deny it, but would love to see your thoughts down below. But the next question I have for you, Dave, is another fun question. What is your favorite food to eat? What's your go-to?
Oh, pizza, without a doubt. 110% pizza.
Oh, nice.
If I didn't say pizza, I think my girl would probably like laugh in my face. It's always pizza. It is always pizza. It has been for so long. I I restrict like not restrict. I focus on my diet pretty hard.
I feel that.
And I eat when I'm not touring anyway. I eat very healthy, and I train a lot, and I train a lot when I'm touring as well, but I don't eat as healthy on tour.
That's fair.
Look, the excessive amounts of alcohol on tour is just already like a massive deficit to my overall health. I'm noticing like my skin is breaking out, like it's feeling prepubescent all over again.
Yeah.
Um, but if it's I think I said to you earlier, like when we started this conversation, it's like I got back from a leg of tour and my first thing was like go for a run and then come home and get some
Pizza.
pizza and eat pizza in bed. I had pizza, bit of pasta, bit of onion rings. It was disgusting and delicious. I loved it. It's great. Yeah, that's it.
I have
There it
to
is, pizza.
I have to give a shout outs to another Australian band I interviewed, Loose Ends, and
Oh,
they were
yeah, I know Loose End. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, big salutes. Love those
Yeah,
guys. But
yeah.
they were
Used to
talking
teach the
about
singer of that band.
oh, did you? Oh, that's so
Yeah,
sick. Very sick. Full circle, you know.
full
Um,
circle. Yeah.
they were talking about I asked them the same question and they said chicken parmesan and I was like, "Oh, I can
Ah,
get down with it."
Parma. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. They said chicken parma, and I was like, "Oh, chicken parmesan." So then, like this stuff that they're like, "No, it's not the same in the in Australia. It's different than what's in the
Yeah, it
states."
is.
So check out that
Do you
interview.
have Palmers over there? We were talking about
No,
this in the van yesterday because we've had this tour so far.
we do not. I did
So
confirm.
you don't really?
We
Oh
don't.
man,
No,
why were we wondering whether they have that in America? I can't remember why that came up in conversation, but
chicken
we were
parmesan.
like, do they have Palmers in America? But yeah, do you know what it is? Like,
Yeah,
it's
they explained it, and I was just like, "That's kind of good. I like that."
yeah. If
I
you
hope
get
we
your
can
ass over
adopt it.
here,
Yeah.
if you get your ass over here, I'm taking you to Palmer. That's
Okay.
what I'm
Thank
doing.
you.
I'll take you for a Palmer. That's
Loose.
what I'm
It's
gonna
just
do.
gonna be loose end Belle Haven.
Yeah,
We're
Lucid
gonna all get
Belhaven.
a chicken
We're gonna
parma
have some,
together.
and usually places that have Palmers also do pizza and pasta and stuff. It's usually because it's
Ooh.
all that sort of like Italian, like
Yeah.
westernized Italian cuisine. So, um,
I can get
yeah.
down with
Oh,
it. I love it.
that's got to go on the bucket list.
I love it.
Have
I'm about it.
chicken Palmers with
Chicken
loose end in
parma. Oh,
Belhaven.
that'd be great. I'd love that. But yeah, no, guys, check out that interview. It was also a great one, and they go over chicken parma. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
spend the time to talk about chicken parma as much as I'd love to,
As
but
much as we would love to.
yeah, as much as we would love to. I do feel like, well, in the states, I'll explain it to you, Dave. So chicken parmesan for us is like the like breaded chicken. You put the
Crumb
sauce
chicken,
on
yeah.
top, the mozzarella cheese on top, and then it's usually served with like spaghetti, or it's on like
Spaghetti.
yeah, spaghetti. Yeah, it's on top of spaghetti. Or it's in
Whoa.
like a roll, like on like a sub kind of a thing.
Interesting. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure we have Subway does like Parma subs, or at least they do like chicken schnitzel subs, which is basically just like a Parma without the sauce on it. But yeah, here it's usually. I mean, I'm sure you spoke about this later.
It's all right.
Yeah,
Just
served with like chips and salad, and it's
yeah.
got like it'll have like there's different variations, but it'll be like crumbed chicken breast, and then I can't remember if I get the order right here. It'll be crumb chicken breast and then like sauce and then like like couple slices of ham is very common. Ham
Yes, they did
and
say
then
that.
cheese on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, or bacon. And usually served with chips and or salad. Is usually like fries and or salad. Is usually No spaghetti. I feel like we're missing out. Not
Yeah.
doing it on spaghetti. That sounds great.
Now I said this in the loose end interview, but I'm gonna say it here too. I'm gonna make chicken parma because I cook in my free time. So
Yeah, can you please send me some
I'll
pics?
try to see if I can make chicken parma in the States. I feel like
I'm
I
gonna
need.
start spamming you with pictures of all the Palmers we eat on tour. Like every time we have a Palmer, I'm gonna send you a picture
Please,
of Belle
I would
Haven
love
eating
that.
chicken
I
Palmers.
need all the resources I possibly can. You know, I want to make this about as
The
accurate.
reference material.
I need source material. I need source material. So, guys, if you're from Australia, DM me on Instagram your chicken
That's
parma because
gold.
I need to know.
Uh,
I need to know if I'm
that's
making it
so funny.
right, what I need to do wrong, if there's things I need to tweak. I just, this is the
So
time.
good.
This is the open floor. So DM me. Would love to know about your chicken parma, because that's just to me as an American, that just sounds fucking delicious. Like I
It
mean,
is
I'd be about
delicious.
it.
It
So
really is delicious. It
yeah, that
really is
sounds great.
delicious. It's so
All right, well,
so
chicken
good.
parma is on my list of things to get at the grocery store. So, guys, let us know in the comments. Have you had chicken parma before? I feel like if you're from Australia, I already know you. But if you're
Oh
not,
man.
I'd love to know. The next question I have for you,
Gold.
Dan, is if you could pick somebody to collaborate with on an up and coming Belle Haven track, who would you love to have on?
Interesting. So do you mean like having an artist like feature, or do you mean like having someone produce a track with us or a record with us, or
Okay.
how define collaborate?
I would love for you. Listen, since I love you so much, David, I'm gonna give you two options here. The first option is collab, like feature on
Yeah,
the,
like a
and
feature
then
artist. Yeah.
the other one is who would you love to work with, producer wise?
Um. So in terms of having someone feature, um, that's hard. We like maybe. Oh man. I feel like I've talked enough about Paramore already. And look, in
No,
my
let's do
defense, it's
it.
because they just brought out a record.
That's
They
true.
just
Yeah,
brought out.
yeah.
So of
I'll give
course
you.
I'm going to be like. I mean, I've got like. Let's just make the interview about this.
Yeah, woo! Let's go, baby. I gotta
I
pick
think
it
I'd
up.
probably try and get Haley with.
Okay,
Is probably
respect.
what I try to do. Like,
Okay, fair enough.
I know
Go
I'd
for the
have to,
gusto.
I'd probably have to sell my kidney to make that happen. But like, like whatever. Like that would be my go-to. Look, honestly though, the honest truth is like Belle Haven has a pretty strict but like something that we've never really like proper spoken about a lot. We just don't really do features because
Hmm.
like we don't really want. I want people to listen to Belle Haven and be like, yeah, I love Belle Haven. Not be
Sure.
like, have you heard that Belle Haven song with Hayley Williams on it? I love that song because Hayley Williams is on it. You know what I mean? Not to say I don't love doing features with other bands and stuff.
Sure.
And
Sure.
we've had other singers on our songs before. We had a girl named Angela sing on a couple of songs on our You Me and Everything Between
Oh,
record.
nice.
Because we were fortunate enough to meet her in the States. And she was on a record with, do you know The Chariot?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh,
the
love them.
girl that sings that song on, I think is it the record One Wing, the Busy Bee song? Is
Yes.
it
Oh,
Busy
yes.
Busy Bee? That girl sung on a couple of songs on our record as
What?
well.
Oh, that was
But
so
it wasn't
sick.
like it was like a part of the piece. It wasn't
Sure.
like this song featuring Angela. It was just like it was a part of
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
the piece and the design of the song. We visualized it with a more feminine sounding voice
Sure.
in
Sure.
those
Sure.
sections, and then we met Angela and we were like, "This is
That's
the girl.
perfect. Yeah.
This is perfect." So as much as I'd love to fantasize about Hayley Williams being on a track, I just don't think it's ever something we'd ever actually try to do because that's just not really, unless it felt right for the
Sure.
piece and it
Sure.
wasn't
Sure. Sure.
something, it wasn't like a draw card thing.
You didn't want to
In
slap
terms
it on
of,
there.
yeah, exactly. Like in terms of producer, man, there are so many different producers that I would love to work with, and I'm going to try and avoid the producer that has done the last 3 Paramore records because, like I said, I'm just hyped right now. Okay, again, listen to this album, please, everybody.
Respect.
they're, they're, they're not paying me, I swear.
They should be.
But There's a producer here. His name's Steve Knight, and he's worked with a lot of great bands like Red Hook and Stan Atlantic and
Oh,
yours
nice.
truly.
Yeah.
Um, I'd really love to work with Stevie. I think Stevie. I mean, I've met Stevie, and he's really lovely. And I think he's just one of those like genius types. You know,
Yeah.
like I just know that I could bring in a collection of music that I had written, and Stevie would just know how to take that music and
And run
just
with it.
make it like a million times better than it already was. You know, like he just strikes me as the genius type. And I've been fortunate enough to work with a few of those genius types over the last few years. My brother CV being one of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
They often end up being producers. These genius types, they often do. But yeah, I'd really love to work with Stevie one day. I think that'd be great. That'd be a lot of fun. I think it'd be really rewarding. That's probably my, if not Carlos, who did this, who did that record.
Woo! Yeah, let's go. All right. Well, guys,
Anyway.
listen. This is what you do. This is now the segment where I say this all the time, and I believe in manifestation. So, if you want to manifest this, as much as I would also like to manifest this as well, go tag Belle Haven on Twitter, tag Haley Williams, and then also tag Stevie as well. Collab question mark. Listen,
Make
if
it
it's on the
happen.
if it's on,
You
if
never
it's on
know.
the internet if it's on the internet, it's got to be real. So
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's
that's
exactly right.
that's
Yeah,
the
that works.
life I want to subscribe to. So I think that if you want to make it happen, and I feel like David would be very stoked about that. So,
Oh,
I don't
just
feel
a
like
little
you,
bit.
yeah, I feel like you wouldn't want to ruin David's day. So, like, go
Oh
do that. That would be
man.
great.
Yeah,
So,
look at this face. Do you really want to
yeah.
hurt this guy? Look
Yeah,
at
I
this.
wouldn't want to, so that's what I'm gonna go do. So meanwhile, while we're talking about this, I'm gonna go type it out on Twitter and post about it. But the next question that I have for you, David, is obviously you're a multi-talented artist here. But if there was another musical instrument you could master, what would it be?
One that I can't already play,
You
or
can't play,
so it
yeah.
has to be,
Just like if
so
you
it has to be
had the
something new.
mastery of
Okay.
it.
Maybe like maybe like probably the saxophone. Honestly, it's just such a sexy instrument.
Ooh,
It's so sexy. I've got a friend. I've got a friend here. Lives in Sydney. His name's Henry. He can play the saxophone. And look, Henry is a sexy man. When he plays the saxophone, the sexy. He just
he
goes
gets
so much
infinitely
further
more
up the
hoes.
sexy scale. Yeah. I reckon saxophone. That's my answer. Lock it in. That's my
Oh,
answer.
I love it. I love it. Also, I'm literally in the middle of typing this tweet up. Is she not on Twitter? Oh, damn. Okay, I'm gonna have to tag Paramore. That's
That'll
arguably a
that'll have
worse.
to do.
I guess we're gonna have to take that L on that one. Stevie, I don't know if Stevie has
I
a.
don't know either. Actually,
I'll
I
have
don't
to.
know either.
We'll just tag. We'll do this. But anyway, the next question I have for you, David, is my personal favorite. As we had
Mhm.
mentioned at the top of the show, I'm a huge nerd, so I love asking this question. If you could be a video game character, who would you be?
It'd be my World of Warcraft character. Touch,
Ooh,
100%. That's why that's where the Discord username comes from. So that's 100%. He's like a
that's
badass
great.
warrior. He like fights dragons and shit. It's awesome. But maybe one that other people would know, probably Kratos, just because he's ripped, and like I just want to be
Fair
bald
enough.
and ripped. That's my end goal in life. And borderline like a little bit like dismissive of my son, like it seems like he is in his games. He just, I don't know, I feel like he loves his son but doesn't give him enough compassion. He's pretty cold.
You'd be the first one to say that. So other than other than that first half, like if you cut off the first half of that and said, "I just want to be ripped," I would agree with that. But the dismissive son was
Bald and ripped.
the bold
Bald and
and
ripped.
and just to prove that I don't know if I could
Look at
like.
that.
I don't know
I
if
don't know if it's working.
basically I
Look,
said at Belle Haven X Paramore collab would love to hear this, and then I did heart eye emoji. So now I'm tweeting it.
it's
All right,
gonna
there we go.
happen now. It's gonna happen
It's
now.
gonna happen.
I'm
I
gonna
feel like thank you, Haley, for watching my stuff, Paramore. I know you watch my content. Much love.
sick.
So I do appreciate it. But the next question I have for you, David, is fittingly enough, if you were to have a dream tour lineup, including Belle Haven, who would you love to go out with?
Oh man. That's a hard one to answer because there's so many different reasons that I would love to tour with different bands.
Sure.
There is a part of it we talked about like Polaris, like some of our fondest memories are the 2017, 2018 tours we did with Polaris. They brought out a single called The Remedy.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yeah, and were main support on that tour, and that was honestly like just so fun. The shows were amazing. Being able to spend that much time with the guys was amazing. Like on one hand, I'd love to tour with sort of maybe like the Friend tour.
Okay, respect.
Doing something like Polaris and like. Oh man, that's hard. Actually, there's way too many. Maybe something eclectic,
The
like
Belle Haven Festival.
Polaris, Eat Your Heart Out, and then maybe like a Lyra,
Ooh, okay.
Tapestry, and then Belle Haven. We'll open the package because all those bands are just so good. We'll open it, whatever. We'll set the stage, and everyone else can just like rip it up. It'll be great. But obviously, man, I was messaging my agent the other day because Fall Out Boy. Oh, it was a couple weeks ago because Fall Out Boy brought out their new track, and it's just so reminiscent of. So we've got Paramore bringing out a new record. We've got Fall Out Boy bringing out new
Yeah,
stuff. It's super emo. We've got My Chem back in action as well.
it's your time to shine, guys.
It's like I'm pretty sure I could find it, but I texted him a lot. But it was something to the effect of like, I will not rest until I have toured with Fall Out Boy, Paramore, and My Chemical Romance. Like, I will
Let's
not
get it.
rest until that happens.
Let's get it.
That is my goal.
I'm gonna help
that
you achieve
is
that goal. That's
all right.
that. I
Thank
feel
you.
like I have to, now that I've heard it,
Thank
now
you.
I feel like I
Yeah,
have to, I
yeah,
have to
got to do
ride or
it.
die on this train, So
Yeah,
rest
100%.
assured, David,
It's your responsibility at this stage. Like, if it doesn't happen, I'll blame you. So.
I hope not. Listen. My manifestation powers work work enough. So I'm just gonna put the positive vibes out into the universe now and just hope that
Yeah,
happens.
sick. I
You know.
believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, I think you gotta. I feel like if you say it enough, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's what I
Well,
say to myself.
that would definitely be. I think that would be like my ultimate tour package. It would be like some sort of variation of like Fall Out Boy, My Chem, Paramore, and then Belle Haven on there. I think that would be like.
That would be really tight. Well, guys,
Yeah.
listen, we're gonna manifest it. So pre-sale tickets are in the description if you want to go do that.
That's me manifesting.
It's in the description. So you heard it here first. World tour exclusive. So I just want to, I just want to say that it was really rad that David decided to come on to my channel and announce it. So I really do appreciate him taking the time.
Tickets on sale now.
Ticket on sale now. Use code Belle Haven Band. To get pre-sale at. Listen, I'm selling it right now. I don't care. We're doing it
before it's even happened.
before it's even out. Yeah, or even announced. So let's go. But I also want to give a shout out to Dave as well. I'm glad you mentioned Eat Your Heart Out because I think they're such a fantastic Australian band that I feel like not a lot of people get a love, with. So Eat Your Heart Out. I would love to have you on as well. I've been a fan since Fluorescent.
Yeah, we just our tours overlapped.
Crossed over, yeah.
Tiny Moving Parts.
Tiny Moving Parts, yeah.
We were both. Mara came up to me and was like, "Eat Your Heart Out in Brisbane. I'm pretty sure I just saw Kato." And I was like, "What?" So I messaged Kato. I was like, "Oh, are you in Brisbane right now?" She's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What?" So we ended up having like coffee for breakfast at the airport.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw you guys post about that. That was that was great.
Early flights. Yeah. So. And honestly, if it weren't for them, we would have missed our flight as well. We were sitting there talking, and then randomly Kato was like, "Did you hear that announcement?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "I think that's you guys." And we were like, "Oh my god!" And like had to run and like literally nearly missed a flight. Like, so thank you, Kato. Thank you.
Salutes. Yeah, I feel like. I also feel like that's so crazy to me. Like I've had like over the 7 years I've been doing this. Like I've had a couple, like more than a couple Australian bands on, and I always find that it's very interesting their touring schedule. Like your guys is like how you're just like, yeah, we're just gonna fly to the next destination, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's so crazy
Yeah.
to me because, like, meanwhile, people are like, "Oh, yeah, I have to drive from Philadelphia to, like, New York City." And that's just
Well,
like,
yeah, it varies a lot from band to band and also tour as well. But
sure,
yeah,
yeah.
Australian tour, having toured the States and Australia, touring Australia is very, very different. Very different. I don't know whether it's easier or harder though. It's like, so like America, it's pretty much you always drive. Like
You
it's
always
all
drive, yeah.
driving. But that's also because like sometimes the drive from state to state is like 3 hours. It's
Yeah,
like whatever.
it's not
Like
crazy.
here, it's like the first show on this Banks Arcade tour was Brisbane. We're Melbourne based. That's if we drive that's like 18 hours. Like it's enormous. So we fly, get a
Sure.
van in Brisbane, drive around Brisbane, do whatever we're doing, and then fly back. But then this last leg was Sydney, Canberra, and then now we're back in Melbourne. And that like Sydney is about 8 hours, 9 hours away, how hard you punch it.
Whew.
So uh and then Canberra is like sort of like 3 hours south of Sydney, kind of in between Sydney and Melbourne a little bit.
Okay.
So we were like, we'll just drive this leg. So we just drove up to Sydney, drove to Canberra, and then drove back. Like some bands would have still elected to fly. That's fine. Um, but um, but yeah, America is very much just like drive, 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 because everything's quite close together for the most part. Like
Yeah.
each state, comparative to Australia,
I was gonna say, yeah.
everything feels like quite close together. Yeah, so but it is very different for sure.
Yes.
For sure. It's very
Well,
different.
I hope to see you guys stateside at some point again. That would be
I
very
really hope so
sick.
too.
So,
I really hope so
fingers
too.
crossed. You know, that
Yeah.
world tour is gonna be coming through the states. So I'm,
Yeah, well, you'll see
you
us
know,
with
very
Paramore
excited.
soon. Don't
Yeah,
worry
yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
Paramore might come. You know, Fall Out Boy. I'm excited. You know, it's good looks for you
Pretty
guys. You
small
know,
tour.
yeah,
Pretty small tour.
yeah.
You might not have heard of those
Great local
opening bands
bands.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're all
yeah.
great local bands, killing it right now. I can't. I couldn't even say it with a straight face. Um, but yeah, I love that. I always feel like that's something I have to point out about like the dedication of Australian bands for like just flying and doing that shit because it's awesome. So you know,
Yeah.
it's such a crazy thing. So I'm hoping, again, hoping to make it to Australia at some point so I can see some really ridiculous tour. I always feel like I
Yeah,
want to
hell
go
yeah.
to like one of those Australian festivals. Like Good Things looks like that
Yeah,
last
Good Things was
that
like
thing
the
looked
festival.
nuts. Yeah, it looked
Yeah,
insane. So
Good
maybe
Things was great.
fingers crossed. Maybe next year. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
fly out there. That'd be
Well,
kind
I'm
of
pretty
tight.
sure they just put up the Facebook events like this morning. I was just on Facebook briefly. Like they haven't announced the lineup or
Sure,
anything yet.
sure. Yeah,
But just like the save the date like events, I
yeah.
think.
They're like, please
So
pre-save this. Yeah.
yeah, already starting to hype it. So
Oh man.
no doubt it will be another an insane like for music. Good Things is like Good Things. And then there's a bunch of other like like Good Things is probably like the holds the crown at the moment for
Okay.
like alt music festival. Like it's really like I think it's the only touring alt festival at the moment. Oh well, there's also Not Fest at the moment, which is a bit more like,
Yes.
but that's not Australian based either. But
Yeah.
it is coming to Australia
That's
now, which is
awesome.
awesome, and that's a touring festival too. So there's that. But yeah, highly recommend. Good Things would be sick. You'd have a great time at Good
All
Things.
right. Well,
You'd be a kid in a candy store. Honestly, you wouldn't know what to do.
Good Things. You know, I'm gonna reach out to your PR team. Like whatever. Like
Yeah, do it.
that'd be peak.
It's look, it's our agency that like so we're booked by the same agency that books that festival. So basically, what I'm saying is it's now my responsibility to get you over here.
I appreciate it. You know, if you don't, it's also fine. Like I'm not gonna hate you, David, but I will be a little disappointed. No, I'm kidding. I'll either way. I feel like
I've
I
been
have to.
hurt before. Ugh.
I'd love to. Like I said, that's my next goal is to just try to do like some like international festivals. So you
Yeah,
know, listen, I don't if people know. Let me know. I would love to get an email. That'd be kind of sick. I'd be so
yeah,
thrilled.
sick.
I would buy the first ticket to go wherever. So let me
Yeah.
know. DM me. Next question I have for you, David, is obviously I know you have seen quite a many shows in your time, but who puts on a great live performance in terms of the bands you've seen?
Um, I think that it's a little bit left of field for like where Belle Haven is because I mean, we again like another one of those bands that we kind of grew up touring with
Sure.
and playing shows with and stuff. But over the years, we've just kind of the style of music we
It,
play is just kind of
it's
spread
changed.
away.
Yeah.
But have you heard of Justice for the Damned?
Yes.
They're like,
Oh, they're
yeah,
nuts.
so yeah, Bobby is probably like for me, like as a front man, whenever I watch, but like so sometimes when I listen to music and I'm like, man, I love this music. This is great.
Yeah.
Other times the music is that good or like just this right. It just hits this right spot for me where I'm like, it goes beyond me being like, oh, this is great. I enter this realm of like, man, I wish I wrote this. Like, I'm angry I didn't write this. Like, I really wish I wrote this. Bobby, for me, like, there's a lot of great entertainers in Australia and especially in alternative music. Jamie from Polaris is fantastic.
Yes.
He's
Oh.
such a hype man. Like he's so good, and really delivers with his voice consistently. But Bobby from Justice, every time I watch him, I'm just like, man, you are like the front man. Like he just knows exactly what to say and when to say it and how to hype a crowd up. And
Oh,
it's
I love
just
it.
so fun. Yeah, that's my reaction. Every time I'm watching it, I'm just like, man, I love it. I toured with Justice in my other band, Wither, which is like a lot heavier.
Okay.
And we toured with Thy Art Is Murder and Justice were like
Ooh.
main support on the tour package. And every show, I was just like, I don't even know how to have the confidence and the balls to. He's just something else. It's just his
Yeah.
element when he's on stage. But yeah, if Bobby ever stumbles across this video, he's gonna be like, man, cringe. I'm not that good, bro. But like he really is. He's really so like I love watching him. I really, really do. That's probably like my favorite. Like, yeah, one of my favorite. Maybe if I watch Justice over and over and over again, I get bored. But like, I'm only lucky enough to see them once or twice a year, most. And whenever I get the privilege to see
You
Justice,
just
I'm
go
always
out.
just like, God damn, like. But then on top of that as well, like Jack, you mentioned Void of Vision before. Jack from Void of Vision, he's also really fantastic. They're a great live band too. Like lots of great energy on stage. Red Hook, another fantastic
Ooh.
like live
Okay.
band. Like we're touring with them in May. Red Hook are fantastic. They've got so many like they just really make every show like an event. I was lucky enough to during Good Things actually. Emmy messaged me the night before and
Oh.
asked me if I wanted to get up during their songs that has like a screaming section in. And it's a bit of like call and response between
Okay.
her and whoever this other person is. And she's like, "Do you want to do this other part, the screaming part?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, do I want to get on stage at Good Things? Yes, I do. So I went backstage and was getting set up, and she was telling me when I'm walking on, blah. And she was like, also, if you want to stick around toward the end of our set too, like we're doing all this stuff with like, got these like big beach balloons and stuff and like
Oh,
confetti in it.
sick.
And I was like,
Yeah.
man, like they've got Henry on stage playing saxophone. Like they really just know how to really put on a really engaging and captivating show. So Red Hook's another great one. There's a lot. It depends what you're looking for. That was a really long answer. Rare, I know. But
No, I love it.
best favorite frontman, I think, is probably Bobby from Justice. He's just so much. Red Hook are a great band to watch live, though. Really, really,
Excited. I
they're
feel like
fantastic.
I've heard that name a lot, Red Hook, so
Red
I'll have to
Hook,
check them
yeah,
out. I'll
they're
have to check.
like they're blowing up like right now.
That's
They're
sick.
they're really like mid blow up. They're fantastic. Really, really great band. Really
Um,
great.
unfortunately, I didn't get to see. I think they were having some. Void Division was having some like visa issues when they were coming to the states. I know they toured with August Burns Red, and
Yeah,
I missed out on seeing them. But I would love to see Void Division when they come back to the states because
yeah, no doubt they'll be back out again. They get overseas a lot these days, so
yeah, yeah.
yeah, no
So
doubt you'll see them. They're a great band.
would love to see them as well. And then I also love Justice for the Dam. So, Bobby, if you watch this, you can come on. I would love to have you. So,
Yeah.
listen, I'm not afraid to chill out here. I'll have anyone on here.
Neither, bro.
Uh,
Neither.
but the next question I have for you, David, is favorite TV show, favorite movie.
Um. Hmm. Man, I think my favorite TV show is probably this might sound like very white person, but like I really love Death Note. Like I really love Death
Oh,
Note. Yeah,
yeah.
it's because I know it's like, you know, like anybody who watches anime, they're gonna hear that and be like, ugh, whatever. That's because it does. It merely scratches the
They're like
surface. There's
cringe.
so much great. Yeah, there's so much great anime out there. There really is. I mean, I love Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's also not
Oh, that's a
too
great
much
one.
different, but Death Note, Death Note has this power to surpass like anime fans. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I lived with this guy for a while, massive normie guy, like had never really watched anime. Like he was by no stretch a weeb at all. But he'd seen me watching a lot of anime. And was like, oh, what, you know, if I was gonna watch some anime, what should I watch?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, I reckon you should watch Death Note. And lo and behold, I come home like a couple of days
And
later,
he's watching
and he's
it.
just like, bro, I am obsessed. Like this
Yeah.
storyline is so, and it's like it doesn't matter that it's anime anymore. The story is just that captivating. Like it's so good, and somehow across like whatever it is, like 60, I don't even know how many episodes it is. It's a lot of
It's a
episodes.
lot, yeah.
Across that whole time, there's just no sense of repetition. There's no sense of like, oh, this is starting to lose me. It's like every episode ends in a way where you're like, oh my, it's like watching Dexter, but like constantly, like just
Yeah.
so much
Oh,
creepy. Like every time you think it can't get worse, it just gets that little bit worse, like and that little bit more intense. So
that's
that's
true.
probably I think there's a lot of great TV shows, but I think that's probably, it's just got so much power. I love Death
Oh,
Note.
it's
But,
great. Yeah.
favorite movie? Definitely not any of the Death Note live action films. They're poo. Yeah, negative.
We don't talk about those, yeah.
We don't talk about those, but man, I don't know. I'm massively on like the MCU at the moment. I'm
Yeah.
really loving a lot of those films. I think Endgame is a fantastic film.
Agreed.
I loved Wakanda Forever, but I think the first Black Panther is still like such an incredible.
Peak, yeah.
Though I still kind of feel like some of the CGI let down in that film, but the CGI is like super hit and miss like across the MCU anyway.
I was gonna
Because
say,
there's just
yeah.
so much of it. But also I guess like Spider-Man No Way Home, that
Oh,
film,
yes. Oh,
like, oh man,
the fan
cried.
service. The fan service. So did I.
I literally cried. I was in this, like the child in me, the inner child.
Oh,
That
same.
was more inner child therapy than I'd done with my therapist. That was,
That was me too. We are on the
Yeah.
same wavelength. I love it.
Yeah, it was so good. So I think maybe one of those films, one of my favorites, like maybe No Way Home. Really
Oh, yeah.
do love that film. But I watch a lot of different stuff, man. Like I'm very eclectic in the sort of films that I watch. Because you know I'm in a relationship, so I've got to find that dichotomy between like I make Sarah watch a whole bunch of shit that she has to pretend to like, and then eventually she's like, "Oh yeah, the new Spider-Man movie."
That's great. I love it.
Cries in impatience.
Yeah.
But then you know at the moment we're watching like The Haunting of Hill House, which we're super
Okay.
behind on because it's been out for ages, and we're both like loving that. And also like, man, it's really sad. Have you watched it?
I have not. No.
Oh man, it's like a horror TV show. It's like really sad. We keep crying. Like we keep having
no.
like sad moments. Like, so yeah, I'm very eclectic. Very eclectic.
I
for
love
sure.
it. I also love that you gave your shout outs to anime. I watch. I haven't watched it as much now, but just because I don't have time to. But I love binging. The last series I binge watched, and I watched it as a kid. I guess not as a kid, maybe like my teens, but I watched Evangelion again. And
yeah.
I watched it now as like an adult, and I'm like, God, I miss so much shit. I was just like, two robots fighting, love it. And then as an adult now, I'm like, I missed out on so much deep knowledge shit.
How's the inverse of this, right? Have you ever gone back and watched any of the old Pokemon stuff?
Oh, listen, you're asking the right guy here. Like, I literally have a bunch of Pokemon shit on my desk.
Because I still love Pokemon.
Yes, same.
When I was a kid, every Pokemon episode was so fresh to me now. I
Yeah.
went back and watched it all a little while ago. It's literally the exact same formula every single episode, like just a slight variation. It's like,
Yeah.
and somehow Child David did not pick up on that consistent thread. Like, it's like episode starts, Ash does something dumb,
Yep.
Team Rocket turns
Yep.
up, Ash accidentally thwarts Team Rocket's plans.
Correct.
Sometimes he doesn't even have to try. It's like some happy accident. Misty and Brock, some sort of
Are just there.
inner
Yeah.
argument, like
Yeah.
some sort of inner argument in there between the three of them, and then they move forward in the story a slight little bit. But it's
Yeah.
the same thing every time. Like, it's literally the same thing every time.
I will say though that Butterfree goodbye episode, that shit hits me in the
It's
chest
really
all the
sad.
time. That
Yeah,
one
it's
is
right in the
arguably,
feels.
but I'll also give a shout out to the Pokemon Journeys on Netflix right now in the States. Peak.
I
Like
haven't watched it.
I think it's, as most people know, I am a resident Pokemon stan, but I absolutely loved it. I think it's great. I want to
Oh, we'll
just give
see.
a
Maybe
shout
I'll
out
have to
to
give it a
Journey.
go.
It
Yeah, I'll have to
is
give it a
worth
go.
a watch if you haven't already. And then I'll also give you a recommendation, anime wise as well, David. Have you checked out Erased before?
No, Erased. I haven't.
Peak.
All right.
That's
let's
that.
see.
If you like thriller, like almost like drama, perfect show to I would say. One, they only had one season. I think
Yeah.
supposedly they're supposed to have another season because the creator of it, after like a 10-year hiatus, was like, oh, we're doing season 2 finally. So fingers crossed. But season 1, fantastic.
Super high rated. Wow. Yeah.
It's
Super high
great.
rated.
It is
awesome.
it is a very good show, and I think you will enjoy it. So
Okay,
if you
sick. I'm
so
into it.
do it up.
Erased. All right. Thank you.
The next question I have for you, David, is if you were trapped on a desert island for the next month and there was one album you could bring with you to listen to, what album would it be?
Good question. Maybe like the first Panic at the Disco record.
Oh, all right. If you
Phoebe
can
Can't
sweat
Sweat
it out, yeah.
Like, you can't, I can, there's never a time that's a bad time for me to listen to that album. I don't listen to it a lot anymore. But whenever I do chuck it on, I'm like, yeah, this album's so badass. Like, I love this album so much. So I reckon maybe that. It's like a reliable,
Yeah.
love. Can you see my dog's little
old
snoot,
reliable.
by the way?
Oh, so cute. Yeah.
He's just decided to come up and be like,
Aw.
"Why? Who is this man that you're talking to? Why aren't you giving me any attention? You little sweetie dicks."
I love it.
Yeah, I think a Fever You Can't Sweat Out.
That's a good one.
That's the one that I take. I think. Yeah.
I like that. I also find it. I saw someone post about this, and they're like, "I think it's great that My Chem, Fall Out Boy, and Paramore are all back, and Panic at the Disco is like, all right, see you later. I'm done."
Yeah,
I'm
it's kind of sad, but I feel like it kind of needed to. Like, it needed to happen. This last record wasn't very well received. There's been a lot of controversy around, like, Yuri, and everybody has their own opinions about that stuff. So it's not worth us getting into. But
Yes, fair enough. Yeah.
But I think, like, I have the relationship that I have with those bands now, and maybe it's similar to being
Sure.
like similar age, but it's like when Paramore when they brought out this new album, it's like watching an old friend that I've known my
Yes.
whole
Oh,
life,
yeah.
like do something, and I just feel so much like love, and I want to support them. I want to buy their shit. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
even if it's not for me, even if a part of my brain is like, oh, I'm helping them. Like, it's like watching an old friend, because I've done so much of my life journey with these bands.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't know me from a bar of soap, but like, watching, like, because I spun that new Panic record and I liked it. I did like it. It's different, but I did like it.
Sure.
I feel like I was probably one of the only people that I know personally that really liked it. But it was really sad to see, like, people just making fun of Panic and making fun of Brendan. And when he announced that it was done and he's having a kid, I was sad, but I was like, you know what, this needed to happen, regardless of any like controversy and stuff. Like it
Sure,
just
yeah.
obviously wasn't working anymore. Like you've what are you doing, Dexter? What are you doing?
So cute. I love
He's
it. Yeah.
literally just like he's resting with his head on the
He
chair
wants,
and
yeah,
he's standing up. He's
he
like,
wants to be a part of this. Yeah, he's like, Dad, come on.
"Do you want to be? Do you want to be in? Do you want to be in the interview? Come here. Come on.
He
Come
is
here.
in the interview. It's great.
You little
Shouts to
cutie."
Dexter.
Yeah, little Dexter Delahos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I was kind of almost like relieved. I was like, I'm kind of glad this is
You're
done
like,
now because like
it's reached
it
that end
was
of the line.
hard seeing, yeah, it's hard seeing an idol fall down that way. You know, like,
Fair
it was really
enough.
hard
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see that. So I'm kind of glad that it's done. I'm kind of glad that it's done. But it is kind of funny as well. Like, you know, the memes about, you know, Brendan turning up to band prac to like tell the band that it's done and it's just him in the mirror and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
pretty
saw that.
funny.
It is
I
kind of
hope that
funny.
he saw them and it's
Yeah.
pretty hilarious.
I feel like you have to have that sense of like
You'd have to.
you have
You'd
to have that
to,
sense of
right?
like, okay, this is hilarious. Like they're like Panic at the Disco's gun, and he just like points at himself in the mirror,
Yeah.
like, you know, like that. I
We're
thought that was
done.
funny. Yeah, like I thought that was funny. I imagine that. I would hope he found it humorous. You know, at least
Yeah.
there's no way you can't, like, you know,
Yeah,
especially
you
if
have
like
to.
if that was your moniker for like such a many years. You know, I feel like that would be the case.
But yeah,
Best
I'm
of
really
luck.
glad we've got Paramore and Mike Hammond and Fall Out Boy just like coming out super strong and killing it. What's wrong, Dexter? What do you want? We have been here for a little
We
while.
have
He
been
probably needs
here
to go to
for,
the toilet.
yeah,
Can you go
he
to the
probably
toilet?
does.
All right, in a minute. In a minute.
In a minute.
Sorry.
We're at the end of the line anyway, so it works out.
All right,
The
perfect.
last question I have for you, David, is a question I've been asking a lot more currently. I would say it's one that I love asking because first of all, had a great interview with you, and if there's any
Likewise.
indication that you have not checked out Belle Haven, check the links below. I mean,
Mhm.
great, fantastic band.
We go all right.
Yeah, no, great. They're a great band. Go check them out. Um, I love interviewing people, and I hope that that emulates in the video and, you know, what I do here on the channel, because it's truly something that I am personally passionate about, and I want other people to experience why I love talking to bands and, you know, getting to know
Mhm.
people. Um, you know, why is music so important to you? Why is it something that is crucial to your life? You know, because given the nature of our conversation and the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations you experience, you very easily could have just been like, I'm done. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
I've
and I nearly
experienced it.
did. Yeah.
And you nearly did. Yeah, and you know, putting those experiences and just be like, I'm done. I'm done experiencing that. But for you to continually come back and really kind of refocus, and obviously I hope the best of luck going further with Belle Haven. But you know, why do you continue to do it? Because at a certain point, like, you know, it was very detrimental to you. You know, so
Yeah,
why is
100% it
what
was.
you know
Yeah.
what makes you continue to come back and do this?
Um yeah, that oh man, really had to finish on that question, didn't you? That's a hard one to answer.
I got to.
It's a
Yeah.
great question
Oh,
though, and
thank
it
you. Thank
feels
you.
really relevant too because last night, when I in my delirium and my exhaustion,
Sure.
um, I was I was in the shower, and Sarah was. I don't know, we hadn't seen each other, so we're just like following each other around the house, just like talking,
Oh,
like
that's
because we're
cute.
just like
Yeah.
needy. And I'm in the shower, and we're talking, and I think I was apologizing to her because I'd just been like talking about the new Paramore record so much, as I'm sure you've established by now. I
Oh, I
really
love
love this
that.
new
Oh my
album.
god.
I love it. And I think I apologized to her. I was like, I'm sorry, I keep like talking so much about like music and about like because I was like talking about the tour and like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, it's just really nice to really feel like in love with it all again. Like it's really good. It's so good because Sarah knew me when that was not the case, and she was privy more privy than most, I think, to how much I almost kind of like hated music for a little while. It was like I didn't listen to music. When I would exercise, I wouldn't listen to music.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't listen to my friends' music. I didn't, because it would just cause me so much grief. Like it just caused me
Sure.
so much pain. It was such a sore spot for me. And it was because I had lost touch with uh, what about music is important to me,
Hmm.
and I'd kind of derailed myself, and it had become all about like popularity and like, you know, success and money and am I attractive, and just kind of lost myself in like being someone. Like it just kind of I just yeah, I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. I just fully
Sure.
lost myself to it all, and that is a big part of why I have been so sick over the last few years. Is like that dysfunction and
Sure.
that
Yeah.
losing touch with. But now I am back in touch with that. So to answer your question, like, you know, music is so important to me because when I was in high school, like bullied and stuff, um,
Same.
I
Yeah.
had records that I listened to. So what my thing that I would do, I had a 40-minute bus trip to school, and then 40 minutes back home
Whew.
from school as well. It was a really, really long bus trip. And I would just listen to music that whole time. And I would look out the window. I always made sure I had a window seat, and I would look out the window and I don't even know how to explain it. I would just fantasize.
You
I
just
would just
zone.
like I would just zone out. Sometimes I would think about my life. So I'd think about how like, oh, boohoo, girls don't talk to me, or like, oh, I'm a nerd and this guy beat me up today, or like whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and but I would listen to, you know, I'd listen to the Getaway Plan and think about all those things, and I would sort of feel like, I don't know, maybe I was romanticizing those feelings. I don't really know what it was, but it was like those songs were soundtracking that experience to me, and they were so important to me being able to
Sure.
get through those experiences.
Yeah.
Um, so integral to me being able to, because otherwise I'd just be sitting there in silence, ruminating myself. But instead, I was like sitting there listening to some music and like kind of vibing in my own way. And um, then other times I would just like listen to music and just like think about this story I wanted to write, or fantasize about how, oh, imagine if this was me playing this song in front of like a
Yeah.
big audience or
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like, um, and so sometimes it acted as like a bit of an escape for me. And now that Belle Haven's doing stuff again, and look, this is a bit more specific to why do I do Belle Haven, I suppose, than why do I do music in general. But
That's fine. Yeah.
every show on this tour so far, we've only played 3 on this tour so far. Every show, at least one person has come up to me and shared a personal experience that they've
Oh.
had, whether it's specific or vague.
Sure.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just, oh, this helped me through a hard time, sort of
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
But that is 100% why I, at the very least, do Belle Haven, is like, because it feels full circle.
Yeah.
All I've ever wanted to do was to give back, like to be able to write the soundtrack to other people's experiences and be there with them. And like, I think there's a Fall Out Boy lyric that I really like. It's like, I can't remember what it is. I just want to sing you to sleep through bedroom speakers or something like that. And that imagery to me is like, that's what I want to do. I want some kid to be on a bus listening to Belle Haven and being like, today sucked, but this song bangs, and I love this band, and I hope I
Yeah.
get to do this one day. Or even if they don't have any aspirations to be a musician, like they just love it and they vibe it. Or even
Yeah.
if they're just feeling sorry for themselves, which is totally okay to do, and sometimes you need to do it. Like, if they're moping and they're feeling sorry for themselves, and they chuck on a Belle Haven song, and they're like, yep, clearly David has felt this way too, and that gives them that little bit of comfort. Like, that's that's a big driving force for me now. And it was prior to all the mental health issues and me getting like lost in it all and lost in my ego and that. It certainly was back then too, but that's certainly where we all are now. You know, where the three of us in Belhaven, because it's just myself, Matt, and Tom, and we are very sensitive men and very, very, we love a good cry, love a
Same.
good cuddle,
Yeah.
and we yeah, we have had many cries backstage talking about some of the conversation, like the the first headline tour we ever did in 2017. the first show was in Adelaide, and
Ooh,
you
yeah.
haven't been to Australia, so you probably don't know much about these different cities. But Adelaide is quite small, and a lot of
Yes.
tours miss it because ticket sales are usually pretty like. And we did it, and ticket sales were kind of average, and we were just
Oh.
kind of anticipating that the show would be like a bit of like a warm-up show or whatever. Instead, it turned out to be pretty packed, and like there were just a lot of walk-up ticket sales and
Oh, very
stuff.
nice. Yeah.
And all these fresh faces we'd never like. The show was like a Belle Haven show in a different city. We'd never experienced something like it. Was like a headline band all of a sudden. It was unreal. And we went backstage after we finished, and this kid comes in like tears streaming down his face, and just starts talking to me about some trauma that he went through and how Yumi and everything between had like really helped him sort of get through that. And me and Mara just started crying. Like we just
Oh,
like,
that's awesome.
bro, like that is that like, and our photographer took a photo of that moment. I wonder if I could find it
Oh,
for you, but there's
that's
still a moment
amazing.
where you can see Mara is hugging the kid that was talking to us, and
Oh,
I'm looking at the camera with my hand on my face, just like tears in my eyes, because it was just this like, in that moment I was like,
yeah.
wow, I am actually doing it. Like I'm getting chills like thinking about that.
That's amazing.
Like that's why Belhaven exists. That is our mission statement. That is like to this day and forevermore. Like that is 100% what I don't want people to feel pain. That's not what I want. But it's gonna happen, regardless of
Yeah,
whether Belhaven
sure.
exists or not. People are gonna suffer and people are gonna
Mhm.
go through hardship. And if we can be there with them, and you know, I guess like hold their hand through the speaker,
Yeah.
you know, like
Oh,
really,
yeah.
really just sort of be in the room with them. Um, then that's my job done. That's what I want to do with. That's what I want my. I want to be on my deathbed and be like, yeah, I helped some people. Like I
Yeah.
was there for some people. That's yeah. We want to help people.
Yeah.
Like yeah, 100%. Want to help people through some of those hard emotional times. That's a big part of why I do music. But also, at the end of the day, it's just so sick.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is.
Music is just awesome,
It's
man. Like I just
rad.
love music
Yeah.
so much. Like there's no
Same.
other. No, I could talk about deep stuff all till the cows come home. But at the end of the day, like even in my other band, Wither, which is all like metal. So I don't know if you've listened to it before, but
I've not. No,
highly
I didn't
recommend.
even
Oh,
know.
you haven't?
I'll have to
All
check it
right.
out now.
Listen to I Can't Find the Words, and then go put on Use Me by Wither, and you'll be like, oh my god, this is David. Like what the hell?
I'm
It's
all
like
about it.
so heavy
All right.
narrative, but
Respect.
like even that band, it's like that band is less about being there for people during that. It's more about like pure aggression and really letting that steam go and letting that rage go. Um, but at the end of the day, it's just still sick. Like I just
Yeah. Oh,
love being
yeah.
on stage and like seeing everyone nuts. So I remember that tour with Diard. I was talking about with Diard and Justice. The Brisbane show, we played a venue called the Zoo, and I came off stage. I went to merch after we finished playing because we were like the opening band on that
Oh,
package.
shit.
And this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Yo, I'd never heard of you before, and you played that breakdown in the middle of this song." And he was like, "I was so amped, I couldn't even pit. I just stood there with my mouth open the whole time, just like." And I
I
was
love
like, "I
that.
literally saw you." I
Yeah.
was like,
You're just like that. That's great. I love that.
And I was like, that moment is just like, it just makes it all so worth the lack of sleep, like the tears,
Yeah.
the stress, the financial issues and struggles. Like it's just to make someone's evening like that. Like, bro, so good. So there's no better joy in the world. Honestly, it's so good, so good.
No, I have to agree with that too. Like, I think music is something, I accurately named channel audio addiction. Like,
Yeah,
that is very much my addiction, not to like, pull
yeah,
it full circle here, but
yeah.
yeah, I feel like for me, like, not only from like a lyrical aspect and like finding bands and really kind of very similarly to you, Dave, like just, finding that way to connect with someone. Like you may not know this artist or you may not know this person indirectly. And there's been plenty of times where I've talked to bands that when I was growing up listening to them and then going to see them, like more recently, I was in an August Burns Red music video, which I thought was really rad. And so I got to speak with the ABR guys and I just told them like you were the first band that I ever listened to. Like you guys were the first like initial band that got me into like metal music
That would have made
and
their day, man.
and they were, like,
That's
so fucking
yeah,
stoked about it, and to me, like, it was such a cool moment to be a part of that because I have been a fan for such a long time, and now I can, like, be like, "Hey, I was in a music video,
You can
that's
share
sick,"
that with
you
them,
know, and
yeah.
I get to share that experience, and literally, I shared that experience live because I did a reaction video to it, and I, like, borderline wanted to cry because I was just
Yeah.
so fucking stoked about it, not only the sheer fact that, like, I got to view the music video, but also how much that music has affected my life to the point where I'm interviewing bands. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
think I would be doing this, but it's something that
Yep.
clearly is something I enjoy and I'm passionate about, and I want to be able to share that with other people. Very similarly to, I imagine that's why you create music, is you want to share that experience and you want to
100%.
relate to
Yeah.
other people. So, absolutely love that. And obviously, this is the
Doing it
perfect.
all for the love, brother. All
Doing
for
it
the
all
love.
for the love, and that is the
Yeah,
perfect
that's it.
segue into the last thing, David. Tell them where they can find Belle Haven at, what you guys have coming up in the next couple months, and anything else you would like to plug.
Cool. So you can pretty much find Belle Haven anywhere. Just don't watch the video of us from Unified 2018 because it sucks. I swear we're better.
Now I'm gonna
I
have to
just watched
look.
it.
Now I'm gonna
I
look.
just watched it. I just know. You know what? I love that it's there. I just watched it recently, talking about it with the guys. Like that was. That's a whole conversation for another time. But, actually, screw it. Watch it. Watch it. We're not like
Okay.
that anymore, but watch it.
Okay. Respect.
We're YouTube, Spotify, that whole shebang. In terms of what we've got coming up, we we got some new music happening. It's we got a lot
Ah.
of touring to do, a lot of touring to do, a lot of work to do. We have a lot of creative endeavors this year, honestly, like
Okay.
so many, from music to tours to music videos, all that normal stuff, to also some outside the box stuff as well that we're really sort of starting to brainstorm a lot now, and really looking to doing. So stick tight. If you liked, I can't find the words. Sick. If you didn't, don't talk to me. Only ever. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man.
It's been a pleasure, Brandon. It's
Oh.
really been a lot of fun. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have time. So, thank you for chatting and for being such a mad dog and for having me on. It's been
Oh,
awesome.
no problem. Well, again, I want to give a shout outs to Ophelia, Big Mouth
Yeah,
PR
Big
in
Mouth PR.
Australia. Big salutes. She's
She's
fantastic.
amazing.
She was a trooper on this one, so big salutes to
Yeah.
her. Also, you already know I love Belle Haven. I love them already before this point, but I feel like talking to David, I have even more love for this band. So, listen,
Oh
this is
man,
me. I'm
thank
gonna
you.
get up all close into the camera. Please go check out Belle Haven. What are you doing? Go check them out. Links below. Go give them some love. This band is fucking awesome. So please, David is one of the
What are you
coolest.
doing? I love
David
that.
is
What
one
are
of
you
the coolest.
doing?
What are you doing? David is one of the coolest guys I've met doing this. So please go
Thank
give
you.
Belle
That's
Haven
really
some
kind of
love.
you.
This was arguably one of the best interviews I've done this year. So
And
please
the
go.
longest, hopefully.
It is not the longest, but please go check it. Please go check out David's, and just go check out Belle Haven. They're awesome. Hopefully they'll make it to the States this time,
Yeah,
either this year or
we'll be out
next
there.
year.
Don't worry, we'll get there. We'll
I'm
get there.
waiting.
We'll be back.
I'll be patiently waiting. So please go check out
Then
Belle
we'll get a
Haven.
Palmer. We'll bring in a Palmer. No, we'll do a cooking segment. Let's
Oh,
make
okay. I love it.
Let's-
I love it. Please go check out their new song. I can't find the words. I'll leave a link below. Go give it some love. Go pick up merch. Go support them. Seriously, it's such an incredible Australian band. Just a
Thank you.
band in general. Please go give them some love. If you enjoyed this interview, share, like, and subscribe. If you made it all the way to the end, fucking thank God you exist, because this was great. So if you made it all the way to
Even
the end,
post edit, I'm sure.
this is the only edit I'm getting is cutting out that part where we had some
Where my
camera
camera
glitches.
was like,
That was it. Everything else is staying in. So please go check it out. If you like to listen to this on your drive home to work or whatever, it will also be out on Spotify, Apple Music, all that sort of stuff. Listen, I'll be
awesome.
very upset if you don't watch it on YouTube, because I know David said he has some body dysmorphia, but God, he's a good-looking Australian. So there's no shill,
you.
no shill,
I
but just
woke up like half an hour before
no
this
shill,
chat, so-
David. And this is just like half-ass David. I don't even want to know full-ass David. So that's all I'm saying. Check him out. Check
Uh,
out Belle Haven. And huge thanks to
you could
David for coming on
you
today.
could check your DMs for full ass David later. All right.